Welcome back to the second half of the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the halftime show. It's me, Laxing, and Ali that are going to bring you guys the next couple of games and the action. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I got boatloads of sleep since I don't start till later in the day. So overall, I feel hydrated, I feel well rested, and I feel ready to jump into more SI action.
All right. Los against Soniqs. That is the SI action that we're going to have today. Ali, in terms of expectations, how this game will go, what are we thinking?
I believe that this could be the biggest game we see out of Group D. And I don't say that lightly. And also, it isn't to take away from the other great teams that we've got inside of this group. But if you were to ask a lot of people, who would you expect the teams to be going out of this group are, both of these teams will be in that conversation, right? 3 teams are going to leave each group, and these are 2 of the teams that a lot of people will be backing to make it out of the group. What makes this so much more important is the fact that they're now playing up against one another here today. And that, of course, has a serious ramification, as one team is going to have to lose.
Yes, unfortunately, that's the case. And Los, however, has been a team that has an incredible run on that international stage. Laxing, we're looking at this roster, we're looking at players to keep our eyes out for. Anyone jumping to mind?
Loban specifically for me, I mean, during the Atlanta Major, he just completely popped off. He was the second highest rated player there. He was the second highest rated in KD, entry, KD. I mean, even in the entry, he had 58 opening engagements, netting 38 of those. That is an insane stat in and itself.
I don't think you can get too hung up on any single one player here on this Lost roster.
Absolutely.
Loban's had his day in the sun. He played fantastically in Atlanta, lights out. Now, we can take this with a pinch of salt because of who Lost played yesterday. Of course, they played Falcons with 3 substitutes. However, that didn't stop them from dominating the stat line and getting things done very quickly indeed. 7-4-7-0 is a fantastic way to kick off your SI, opening yourself up into the group and saying, look, we're here to play. Doesn't matter who we're going up against, we ain't making mistakes. For me, the player that stood out yesterday was Dots, cracking on the entry and ended +10 as well.
Los is also one of the teams that has tasted that international success, not necessarily so in the form of lifting a trophy, but rather in terms of they've had a very, very good run when it came to Atlanta. So coming here to SI, I'm pretty sure they're looking to replicate that, which brings the question if that's even possible.
I mean, also when you just look at the roster in and itself, I mean, Cameraman, tremendous history throughout Siege, has attended I think every single invite outside of one. So having that background and being your IGL, being able to teach you guys everything you need to be prepared for, that's massive.
All right, but they're going up against Soniqs. And Soniqs, we've already seen them play as well. It was on the B stream yesterday, but it didn't feel like what we were expecting from them here. Ollie actually came to life.
I think Soniqs had a great day yesterday. Like, let's be honest, they played with a rookie. They've got Ambi, the youngest player inside of SI. He played fantastically well. He went +3 on entry, +5 overall. You can't really ask much more than that from someone who is debuting in SI. But maybe the rest of the team wasn't quite there. Maybe there was some cracks. It wasn't the easiest game they had up against Scars. It was a 7-5, 8-7. So you look at that and you think, we would expect Soniqs to be beating Scars a little bit better than that, surely.
Yeah, but it could also be the fact that it was the first day that we've seen them. You know, you're just getting used to it, getting back into the swing of things. And again, they do have that win on the board against Scars, so that does put them into a similar run to Lowe's, both 1-1 at the moment. But when we're looking at the roster, particularly in the terms of Soniqs and the change that has been made, how are you expecting that to play out today on the A stream?
Well, for me, it's interesting because Gunnar originally, during the regular stage, they were struggling in their mid to late run adaptations, and that's where Gunnar stepped in and said, you know, he was taking an IGL role, he was helping the team, and then you start to see the success that we saw back in Copenhagen from the SQ that we saw there, and then that followed into Atlanta, but then they fell short drastically. Well, if they fell hard, they didn't fall short, they fell hard. So then they swapped out Gunnar to bring Ambi, this up-and-comer, and again, like you were saying, Ambi popped off yesterday. He was the MVP of that match. So for the roster alone to bring in someone brand new that has no LAN experience, playing at SI for the first time, and to do that well, regardless against Scars, that's a huge boost of morale for the team to just let everyone know that everyone's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and with the map feeders as well being ready, we can actually have a look in terms of what servers we're going to be heading on to. So in terms of the bans here, Ollie, nothing particularly standing out to you and saying, okay, that's crazy. No,
I think that we're seeing, you know, a pretty straightforward counterban process there for the first 4. The one that does surprise me a little bit is the Lost pick onto Skyscraper. You've got to look at that and question recent form for Lost on that map and wonder, is it the best choice to be going on to? We're going to pick Cafe for the second one as well. So, you know, you've got to sort of look at that and you've got to go, I think Soniqs have maybe sort of chosen this map and gone, we're going to go to Sky because we know that Lost aren't very good at it. They might be a medium preference map, but they haven't got a great recent performance on it.
And to be fair, I mean, Soniqs haven't performed that well in Skyscraper either. They won it during the first stage one time, and then in the second stage, they lost it to M80 one time, and then lost it to Bleed recently. So it makes you question, both teams obviously are comfortable going with it. I asked Cameraman about this, you know, the maps that came out to be. He said he was kind of surprised, but at the same time, I think both teams are trying to get in each other's heads and try to pick each other's weakest maps and try to see what they can bring into those maps to really try to get into one another's head.
Yeah, and both teams are also ready to head straight into the competition. So let's head over to our casters to be covering the first map, Skyscraper.
Thanks, Shinny. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the H-Stream casting desk. What a series you've got coming up here, Tim.
I'm looking forward to this one.
I am too. It's funny that, isn't it? Really looking forward to casting again. Both of these teams 2-0 yesterday, as the desk have mentioned. Kind of the summary I have from that is still a point to prove. Sure, you've stomped through a considerably weaker team in both of these cases. This is really where the teams will be defined and made as to what their run at the tournament could look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, I've got more questions about Lost than I do Soniqs.
Yeah.
I feel like the Soniqs maybe put up a slightly sort of more rounded performance yesterday. Lost were a little bit up and down. First map was kind of difficult for them against a team with a couple of stand-ins where we thought that they'd be all over it. But then they really warmed into it, and Border, they absolutely demolished them. So kind of which Lost are we going to get? You know, how much are we going to get out of Maya and Lobin again? They had good games yesterday, particularly Border. So we'll see whether that continues for them. Cameraman was particularly alive on Border as well. So I'm looking forward. I think there's a lot of questions to be answered here. In terms of this group, I think we're probably seeing two of the top teams here, and it might just give us an idea who will pinch that top seed.
And I'm also happy that we get to see a little bit of Skyscraper. Tim, it's one of my favorite maps alongside Nighthaven. Loved it ever since the rework. Think it's a really interesting map to watch. Teams that are really on it, they're able to cut off rotates from defenders pulling back towards site after they've played their extended holds, normally across that top floor. I just think there's so much opportunity for teams that have got good plans in mind to show really strong team play when it comes to, again, cutting off defenders or collapsing onto certain areas of the map. Bans have flown on through, though. Brava the first one, followed by the Maverick, which means Tubarão, unsurprisingly, is going to follow as the fourth and final ban, with Fenrir taking that third slot.
Well, all that's left to do is to get on into things then. Lost versus Soniqs coming up. Map 1 is going to be Skyscraper, and it looks like we're going to be heading to Exhibition and Office to kick things off. Bit of a coin toss sometimes between that and T and Karaoke, but this time we're going to be heading over to that opposite side. Lost starting on the defense, and just having a quick look through their lineup. Nothing wildly standing out. We've got the Mirror. The Mirror's seen a lot of playtime where available so far in SI. Understandably, very powerful operator, can really help shape a site. Very difficult to play against.
And it's not like teams have just all of a sudden discovered that Mirror is good. It was the classic thing before when there were only really 2, maybe 3 operators you ban on the defensive side. Well, how far gone those days are. With how it used to be before, you'd basically assume that Mirror would get banned, not the majority of the time, but that a team could bring it out if you showed any kind of prowess in using her. Whereas these days, it's not so easy to ban Mirror because there are so many other stronger defensive operators in the game that suddenly Mirror becomes something you might actually put in your wheelhouse, and teams will have to target ban against you specifically rather than seeing her as a general ban. So I do think you'll see her pick rate both increase, not as a result of her not being banned as much, but also from teams being more willing to say, actually, it's okay to incorporate Mirror in our strategy wheelhouse because she isn't going to get banned as often. So 2 things really leading towards that.
Yeah, we've just dropped out of the game there. A slight technical hitch as we got on into things. So we're just going to get that lobby rebuilt, get everybody back in, and we will be underway in a matter of moments, just as quick as we can do. But yes, definitely, like you say, a little bit of repetition we tend to see on Skyscraper. Like you say, a lot of it coming down to that top floor. They're going to be the 2 primary sites. We'll only ever really see the downstairs sites if one of those sites sorry, if both of those sites are won by the defenders, then they'll have to take a third choice down below. Often the map that can scupper Fresh's bingo card for that every site being played square that he likes to have on there, because we very rarely see Master Bedroom picked up as a site. The third choice site tends to be Kitchen Barbecue downstairs, which is basically the same as Tea and Karaoke, just with the extra step of needing that vertical clearance and then working working on down. The interesting thing that you're going to see here on Skyscraper from the attackers, where the variation comes, as you've said, Des, quite rightly, you tend to have these extended holds, and the extended holds for the defenders always focus around the middle. They focus around Shrine, Drum, Terrace, and Dragon. That's your main area that you're going to extend into, and you will be defending either side of that. So you'll either be defending on Tea and Karaoke, or you'll be defending Exhibition Office on the other side. So you'll have those extensions, but then the attackers have got choices on both of those sides. So they can always work in from the other side. So, for example, Tea and Karaoke hold, they can always, as attackers, try to get themselves into Office, work across, clear out from there, and then push. They can also do it a little bit more directly. They can try to push into Geisha, get the hard breach off, push into there, push from top black stairs, from the balcony, for example, and just converge directly onto site, and then try and catch those defenders as they're coming back into site. The same is very true of Exhibition and Office. You can work your way across. That tends to be a little bit rarer for that side. It tends to be you'll try and get the external breach off, you'll deal with the run-out potential from Terrace, and you'll also then just try to push sort of directly into site, maybe get a little bit of pressure from VIP reception, moving in that way. But generally, that's a lot of what you're going to see from the attackers up on the top floor. It's going to be sort of variations of those things.
Never thought I'd see a character for the Incredibles surfing on top of a Pokemon as a
There you
player's
go.
go-to thing to have on their desk, but here we stand. But obviously, with all those things you spoke about there, Tim, we'll see when we get into the game as well, and we'll see it play out, no doubt, and we can talk through more of it there as well. One thing I do want to highlight from yesterday really is some of the stats coming out of those games. You know, lost despite their 2-0 win over Falcons, who, as we commented, had 3 subs, still went completely neutral when it came to entries. They were +3 across 3 of their players, but Maya, who had a really stinky day yesterday, a good 0.3 in terms of rating below the rest of his team, was -3. On the other side of things, Soniqs was 7-0 on entry overall, +7 on the entry. So as far as that goes in terms of early engagements, Ambi obviously leading the charge alongside Grixer big time on that front. I think that'll be the big thing that we need to see Loss overcome today, is to make sure they are in there, they are fighting for those entries. And ideally, going positive today, you can't really be in a spot where you're going to find yourself going neutral against a team that is, again, playing with 3 subs, and then find yourself going negative against teams better than you, because we all know the stats. If you find yourself with the entry, more often than not, you will go on to win the round.
That's it. It's a big boost. It's a big boost, both in mentality and obviously physically within the round. But I'm also fascinated to keep an eye on what happens with Solis here. Solis is available. There's a lot of verticality possible on Skyscraper, particularly beneath both sites. So I'm interested to see whether we get that Solis play underneath. It's just adding another dimension to that defensive extension as well. But obviously, there is also that vertical deniability possible. As soon as you try to put the diffuser down, it can be seen on Solis's gadget. She's got the impacts. She can shoot through the floor. She can guide nitros if somebody else is down there with her. So there's some possibilities there as well. And we know the strength of Solis. It's not just about that denial. It's dealing with drones. It's, the speed of the operator, able to get around quickly, able to really make a nuisance. So that's something else I'm going to be keeping my eye on, is how much Solis play do we see from the defenders, and is it on a lateral sense, or are they playing in underneath and trying to do that, and then how quickly are they dealt with? If that Solis is present, how do the attackers deal with it? Do they just ignore it, try and work around it, or they go in and look for that clearance? Just trying to get a little bit of meditation going on there, maybe. Just
not Norris
get in the zone already.
You can be really passionate at the best of times, so I think actually having that little bit of calm before the storm is never going to be a bad thing. Should get ourselves underway in a minute, by the way. Obviously, we'll keep you guys updated as we hear more news. For now, I think we're waiting for one more player to get in the lobby, just sorting out the ordering so player cams have the right names associated with them, and then we should be good to go.
I'm looking forward as well. I did watch the Soniqs game yesterday. I'm looking forward to first. I always feel like it's different when I watch somebody casting. It's like I feel like it's first hand then, rather than watching it as a viewer. I am looking forward to watching Ambi. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk around Ambi. You've mentioned as well the stats yesterday, the entry game. Very much looking forward to seeing how Ambi's fitting into the team, what the performance is like. Obviously, as a new player coming in, it's a lot of pressure to have those sort of discussions around you, have that sort of interest on you, and so I'm looking forward to seeing just how well he continues to handle that.
It's almost like you've just set me up perfectly well, Tim. I actually messaged him earlier this week and said to him, do you feel pressure coming in? Because there's a lot of eyes on you. You're kind of being put forward as the next Messiah coming out of NA. You'll be the next God Gunner. And he was like, honestly, not really. No, I'm actually just quite excited to get out there and play. I just want to show what I can do. And to be fair, he did that yesterday. He came out top rated for his team overall too. I actually asked him as well, where does your name come from? Because getting you know, bless him, he's quite young. Getting like a 4-character name is quite hard to do in gaming these days. I was like, where did it come from? And he's like, well, when I was 10 years old. And I was like, God, when he was 10 years old. I feel so old. He's like, one of my mates said to me that a great way of getting a gamer tag, talking about Xbox back there, was to go and look at Latin root words, and Ambi was the one that he liked, and so he picked it and stuck with it. And I was like, so you're telling me your name came from a mate who was probably the same age as you at 10, telling you, with his lifetime experience of picking out gamer tags, that looking at Latin root words was the one.
That's how you go.
10-year-olds are wise beyond measure, Tim. I mean, it's worked. He's kept Ambi this whole time. See, I thought it was meant like ambivalent or something. It was a halfway word, but no, it's a root word in Latin, apparently.
No, there you go. There you have it. Bringing you all the behind-the-scenes information here.
I love those little things that you don't ever really find out about people. Like, why do you have that name? And, you know, well, whatever it might be, just finding out more about people is always quite fun beyond just the name on the screen that you see absolutely slaughtering people in the server. Definitely won't have as easy a game easy a game today as he did yesterday. God, that was a real mouthful.
You got there.
I did in the end. But the one thing I'm looking at really, Ambi and Maya are the two players that everyone looks at here. I know Loban has kind of been the dark horse of Atlanta that have really come through and put up big numbers for his team, but Maya consistently across the years has been top dog. Yesterday, he had a really tough game. As I mentioned, he's the lowest rated player on his team at the minute. Negative on the entry. Everyone else did better than him yesterday. And Dots and Dash, to give them a shout out, they both got 18 kills each yesterday, the same as Loban. So currently, there are 3 players on their team, all tied for top fragging. Although you don't always see Dots and Dash as being in the highlight reels, for example, they are consistently there getting kills. And where the real sharp edge comes in for loss is in Maya and Loban. Maya, we've got to see him have a strong game today, because I don't think that you can have a poor game against Falcons and get away with it. You cannot pull off the same thing against a team like Soniqs. No. Coming into this ready to absolutely slaughter you if you misstep.
I think that's the reality. Lost had their opportunity yesterday to maybe not play, you know, quite at 100% and still come away with a result, you know, against a team with a number of standings. That was always going to be a possibility. Today, they've got to say, right, okay, you know, we're on it now. This is, they need to show us their best, essentially. Because if they don't, I would fully expect Soniqs to punish them. To be honest, I'd be disappointed in the Soniqs if they don't. You know, if the team come out against the Soniqs and doesn't give their best, and the Soniqs don't punish them for that, then, you know, we'd have to ask questions of them. So I think, you know, they are the type of team that will get on top of you if you let them.
For me, for Soniqs, they've come into this as the #4 global seed as well. Like, they are the top NA team here, at least on paper, right? We've seen a really good performance from SSG today, for example. DZ have had a bit of a roller coaster earlier on against NIP, but have also prevailed there. So really, it's on Soniqs now to say, you know what, you guys are playing well, but we are still that best North American team. Anyway, into it we get. Tim, you were talking earlier on about where teams like to attack. There's a trick here at the ready for the cameraman getting blown out from below, but will he get away with it? Didn't know if he did actually, didn't really hear it go through. Okay, it has gone off nose. He didn't quite get away with it. The concussion came through from below, from Grixter, doing exactly what Zofia needs to do on this map.
Really well played there from Soniqs, dealing with the threat of the bandit trick, and the explosion below did still offer cameraman a little bit of cover, but you just send in that concussive afterwards, and it gets the job done. So really well played there, really smooth. A minute in, then we've got that VIP wall open, so that is going to apply some pressure. If you remember, I spoke earlier about how the attackers maybe looking sort of direct to side. They may look to sweep across from the top. It's a bit of a combination of things here, because we've got the little push coming in towards Geisha. We've got that pressure applied early towards VIP. So there's a lot of things on both sides going on from Soniqs.
I just love our cameraman has sprinted from one side of the map to the other after his tricking failed over towards VIP side. Has now gone over towards Geisha to go and achieve exactly the same thing. Obviously, the concern here being if the external wall opens up onto it, it will blow out that wall as well, as long as the exothermic is placed in the right spot. But for now, at least, that single wall does stay closed. He's been really focusing on that denial and slowing down the Soniqs attack.
Loban's in a really important position at the minute. So Loban is inside a terrace, and what he's doing is watching those drum steps to prevent the pressure coming onto cameraman, so that cameraman can stay in position and prevent the push coming through from Geisha. Dots is going to open things up with the kill onto Geo, but Citizen and Grixter, they have something to say about it. And this is going to start pushing directly into sight. Rexton, he's in. There's Candela's going off. There's chaos raining. Rexton is going to get one. Is he going to get himself a second? No. Cameraman managed to answer back, but it's that man, Ambi, who's going to finish the round off. And Soniqs, they take a convincing victory in round 1.
They do. As soon as I saw Ambi and Citizen getting into the kill feed at the same time, I was just like, oh, man. You know, all this excitement around Ambi, you still can't forget that they imported Citizen, who was one of the best, if not arguably the best fragger that we had in Europe. It was always the conversation, is it Citizen, is it Shaiko? it's really forming up to be a truly terrifying team when you see players like Grixer getting on the board, as we've seen historically as well. It's going to be hard to control this team at the best of times. Just one point I wanted to raise here for those that maybe are a little bit unfamiliar with professional Siege. Maybe you played a little bit of ranked, whether it's on console or PC, you're thinking, okay, then well, why is Ambi an entry running around playing on Ace? And we spoke about this on the Beast stream yesterday. Once you've used the gadgets, once the Selmas are out, the gun's great. Everyone loves running around with the AK. You can do a lot of damage with it. So normally you'll see even players like Doki on G2 going for a very similar approach. You see it as a support operator, but it turns very quickly into a very aggressive entry-focused one once the initial work has been done.
Ace is one of the most self-sufficient operators in that sense.
I feel like they modelled him after you, because you're extremely self-sufficient.
I'm quite self-sufficient, I'd like to think so.
Very responsible.
Yeah,
a fun little background story. Whenever me, you, and Ollie travel anywhere, Ollie's always caught between, okay, who do I side with here? Tim, who's incredibly safe and prepared, or Des, who's like, you know what? Last person on the plane, last minute out the door, packing 5 minutes before everyone turns up.
See, Des and I do a lot of things together as a duo. We talk outside of the game. We spend time. There's a lot of things that we have in common. We do a lot of things together. But when it comes to traveling, Des and I are best kept separate.
And that's fine by me. I'll sit and wait for you to get on the plane, mate. No worries.
So I think, to finish that point, Ace is a very self-sufficient operator. So sometimes, yes, you will see him brought as the hard breach support, but you will also see, players like Ambi, Doki, sometimes taking Ace with the complete intention of playing him as an entry because he can hard breach for himself. He can bring along claymores to stop his run out. There's plenty of stuff that Ace can do for himself. So it can be a good option like that. So you might just see him played in those different ways. Interestingly, second defensive site from Lost is not going to be Tea and Karaoke. It's actually down in Kitchen and Barbecue. There's still going to be a very similar push from Soniqs. They're going to need to get into the top floor. They'll want to get control of Geisha because the site can be defended very well from up there. So they're still going to need that top floor clearance, and then they will look at moving down for the execute.
I'm not sure if our audio's on the green room, but if it is fresh, listen up. Get them stats out. I would love to know actually what the win rates are for each of the sites on this map. Thank you and please. If not, I know that he's deliberately ignoring me, in which case that makes me very sad.
Wrexham once again getting a little bit aggressive, getting inside of the map, but Ambi even more so, move straight on into sight. There is going to be a couple of kills coming in, both from Dots and not favouring Soniqs, as Lost managed to find themselves 4 versus 3. Wrexham does manage to get the trade, but the damage is already done.
It has. I mean, the fact that Ambi got away with it for at least the start was a bit crazy, but the Dosh stats combo, those two are like brothers. They cannot be separated. They started doing a bit of work, and for a second it looked like Lost might be in control of the round, but 2 quick kills going the way of Soniqs, make it a third. Has seen everything come crashing down. The house of cards falls flat, and Lobin is all that stands against Grixer and Citizen.
Got so much work to do here. You really wouldn't want to be in a 1v1 against either of these two, let alone a 1v2 against both. It is a huge ask for Lobin. The thing is got in his favour at the minute. Citizen Grixer don't have the diffuser. 45 seconds left to go. Lobin's been picked up on a drone, so he's just trying to keep himself a little bit loose up there on the top floor, moving around. The diffuser was down in sight, so not a problem to retrieve it at all. Smart decision here from Citizen. Get that one thrown down on the ground. Going to be covered by smoke as well, so Lobin struggles. That is just, that is absolutely beautiful play there. The smoke going down from Grixer to cover the plant of Citizen, just preempting that vertical challenge coming in from Lobin. I absolutely love that.
Still got 3 flashes they can chuck down, got a smoke to play with. Still lots to disrupt Lobin here. He's going to try and do what he can, but really stuck between a rock and a hard play. He's going to try his best to try and stick this defuse, but he's definitely going to get swung, and it's Grixer coming in for the second round in a row for the Soniqs. Lost yet to get on the board.
Yeah, the Lost need to be careful here. They're on the defensive Skyscraper. We'd expect them to be picking up a couple of rounds at least, and Soniqs are really starting to run away with things already. Very convincing rounds. Ambi certainly making his presence known both in and out of the server, getting a little bit loud there, giving it a little bit over to the Lost side of things. But yeah, for me, Dots did really well there to sort of stop that pressure coming in immediately to site, but the damage just wasn't enough, and Soniqs were able to cut off a couple of those roamers and give themselves the man advantage back. But for me, the play of that round was that smoke that goes on to Citizen, because Lobin opens that up. If that smoke isn't there, Lobin's got an absolute freebie. He's just going to take 2 shots at Citizen, kill him. The diffuser goes down, and all of a sudden you've got a very different dynamic. You've got a 1v1 Lobin versus Grixer. Grixer's got to try and recover a diffuser that Lobin can effectively just sit on top of, and he can just continue to do the same thing if Grixer tries to plant somewhere else, for example. So really important important and just smart heads-up use of utility there to get that round done. Really impressed with the way that Citizen and Grix have played that 2v1.
It's fun one because I was thinking about the map for a second and I was like, all right, Soniqs picked this map, they're on the attack, you'd expect them to do well for sure. And the thing is, it's not a bad map for either team. I'd say not a bad map, it's a midfield map in terms of preference and both have a sub 50% round win rate on it. So maybe it's not incredible for either team, but if nothing else, that suggests that Soniqs have come in here with a game plan. They know how Lost play this, they've gone back and analysed the games they've played previously. They played against Dark Zero back in Atlanta, 7-0 them there, and then I think in Stage 2 they played against Black Dragons and NIP, lost both of those games. Interestingly, the one to NIP 7-0. But it just shows again that there's a bit of counter prep going into this, I expect, and they've come in with ideas on how to counter the setups that they see Lost using.
Cameraman is once again going to try the trick on the wall. Given how well it was dealt with last time, you've got to, you know, sort of wonder, it's unlikely to be successful this time. Logan does manage to take down Rexon, and it was Rexon that was a driving force over getting inside a site last time that they attacked onto Office. So that could be a little bit of a loss there for Soniqs, realistically, in terms of the rest of the round. We just see Grixon moving away as well. He's going to need to support Gio in a second, who's there ready to open that VIP wall.
Nothing else really followed up yet off the back of Rexon going down, so just happy Lobin, I imagine, to collect that one and then took away back in behind the mirror window. Soniqs probably taking things a little more tentative there, back on the drones, figuring out what's going on before deciding on where the next play should come in. And it's that kind of very classic sort of west side start, pushing across with a couple playing up towards the north side balconies. So going to be this split hit again, I imagine, where you'll have a couple flooding in from Terrace or Dragon side, or you would if Maya hadn't just domed Ambi up that way. That probably means now you're going to have to see someone on Soniqs rotate over and take Ambi's previous position, so Soniqs a little bit light on the ground for what they need here to pull in a multi-point execute.
Yeah, the problem that Soniqs have got as well, given that it's now a 5 versus 3, is that also have effectively got sort of 2.5 players on site. You've got Maya currently inside a Dragon, but otherwise you've got 2 more on site. Dash is going to do some damage there. So what that means is the other 2 from Lost can stay on the opposite side of the map. They can stay out towards T and Karaoke and play on the flank later in the round. So Gio is, I think, recognising that and is going to go hunting over this side of the map. 45 seconds left to go. They need to really get a couple of kills as Gio moves across towards site to give themselves that opportunity, if any, to know that at least they're not going to get hit from that rear side.
I really thought Fresh came into the room to take some pictures of us. I thought he was coming there with my stats request.
There's no stats.
No. Don't worry about it. You couldn't hear me in the green room. It's okay.
Citizen
down as well. 1 versus 4 coming in. Gio, I can't see, taking 3 players out by himself. Not when 2 of them are Dots and Dash, who has said have been 2 of the standout players of this team so far. And it's Dots to get the close. Finally, Lost do get on the board. So 2-1, Tim. I think this is where you'll probably see Sonic start talking about tightening things up a little bit here, because those first 2 fights they lost was 2 players being very much by themselves. No real support either from drones or any kind of trade play coming in behind them. They were trying to do arguably a bit too much across the entirety of the map. So here, tighten things down a little bit as we go into what looks to be Karaoke and Tim.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the first time that we see it, and now that they've got that top floor win, it's pretty much a mirror image is likely what you're going to see. It depends what Soniqs choose to do on the attack, whether they establish in Exhibition Office and move across, or whether they go direct to site via Geisha and top black stairs. We will see as the sort of first minute of the round progresses, but Lost looked much better in round 3. They were just much more settled. As I say, as soon as they got those couple of kills, they knew they could leave a couple sort of out near Drome, out near the other side of the map, and it just really stretches those remaining Soniqs players thin, because you know, they've kind of got a choice then. They either play absolutely route 1 into site, which was going to be difficult because the breach wasn't open, or they're going to have to clear them out because otherwise they get hit on the flank. So it sort of left them in a no-win situation. Lost will be defending, as was suggested, T and Karaoke. We'll see how much of a presence there is over the far side. I'm just looking through the list of the defenders. We've got no Solis. We haven't had any Solis play from Lost so far on this map. And again, you know, I'd be interested to see potentially. There is some work that can be done downstairs on Skyscraper.
I wonder if it's the mirror effect, where you just assume you're never going to be playing it, therefore it's not in your wheelhouse for this map. And if you've already got pre-existing strats and ideas of how you want to play things, it's a little bit dangerous to dynamically change what a strat would be that you guys have arranged and agreed, okay, you're setting up that part, reinforcing there, putting this gadgetry there, we play this way in the round. It is quite dangerous to just flex an operator in and say, yeah, why not? They're strong and they're available, let's play them. That again is the mirror thing that I was speaking about earlier on.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly that. We're going to see pressure coming towards Geisha by the looks of it from Soniqs. They will have to deal with that far side of the map, realistically. They could find themselves in trouble if not. Cameraman is in Geisha, but could be supported by Dash, who is in and around Drum. I think the Drum wall through to Geisha is open, so Dash will be in position to be able to assist should he need to. So Soniqs need to think about that and maybe just put a little bit of pressure on to clear him out. But this is where then Exhibition Office becomes a problem, because there are a number of lost players over there as well to stop them pushing onto Dash. So this is a multi-layered defense from Lost. There's a number of problems that Soniqs are going to have to solve before they can push towards site.
Always the way, it's a problem-solving mini-game, a bunch of puzzles really standing before you, hurdles to the final objective. I hear most teams say it is basically a problem-solving haven for those that enjoy that kind of mental exercise, I guess you could call it. Maya holding off on towards Shrine side here, expecting someone to come bolting in through that north side window. The answer right now is very clearly no. The Soniqs are very focused up on top black. They've got one playing on South Balk, and they've got one playing out on the karaoke windows. Maya a little bit redundant, at least for now, so they don't know that. But I imagine you're going to see Soniqs all come crashing in here as they've all got these kind of 5-point assault points ready to go in.
Yeah, exactly that. They've sort of given up on Drum, not looking over that way. Happy enough to leave roamers out in the cold if that is what is necessary. Citizen just paying attention to Shrine window to prevent any jump out. Geo looking to deliver that utility, is going to do fantastically as Ambi manages to pick up the opener onto Dot. 4 versus 4 though, as Lobin manages to cut down Wrexham. Maya doubles down with one onto Ambi. 3 versus 3 as this one heads into the action proper now, as we've got Grixer inside a site. He's repelled into karaoke. Diffuser is in the hands of Geo at the moment and not really in a position to put it down just yet.
Kind of like brief pause after the action's already all kicked off, hasn't it? Everything's settled for a few seconds. The dust has come down and now everyone can see clearly. And with the time running down to the last 15, everything has to move perfectly. Look, it's C4 finds one as well. Lobin gets swung on by the next, but no one hitting their shots here. Gets swung on, one foul, but Grix is going to find nothing. Dash with the close, we'll all square it to a piece, Tim.
I think that was the problem with not dealing with Geisha. They chose to just go completely from that other side, get themselves into karaoke and look for a plant. But if you've never dealt with Geisha and karaoke walls open, it's going to be very difficult, because Lobin in that position at the end was able to really cut Soniqs down when it came to it. So a little bit tough. Sometimes you've just got to clear out a little bit more of the map than you actually want to use, and Soniqs I think just falling foul of that a little bit there.
Still, I think you'd still be happy sat in this spot of Soniqs.
I think so.
Mentioned it earlier on, but Netta is great. It's dependent on right now. The ban's certainly about to slow with Fenrir and with Subra being taken off the board, great, but it does open up things, as we said, like the Solis. The Mirror becomes very widely available. The Valkyrie's also a thing, can't be forgetting about that. Zami also as an option. Still plenty of things that defenders can employ that many would consider extremely strong right now. And interestingly, team coming into this round, guess what we are going to see? Going to see the Solis coming in for Lobin that was missing in that previous round. We've hazarded a guess as to why. Really coming down to what the team has sort of agreed as a strategy. It's hard to change that in the moment when you see a ban that would otherwise normally be taken away from you is suddenly available. But I imagine here playing on the downstairs, given you want to try and deny upstairs, this is where the Solis really can come into her own.
Well, I suggested that bedroom would be the difficult site for us to see, potentially.
It's funny, I want to say it was Soniqs or TSM, I forget, a long time ago. I don't know why my memory just remembers this one random thing. One of those two teams did play this site when they were playing Skyscraper previously, and I always think to myself, would a North American team go to that site rather than trying to play something else? And clearly the answer here is yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit rare that we see it, but we've had it on day 2, so we can get that one ticked off the list to see if we see every single site.
You should know about this though. This cameraman's done it before.
Yes, you're going to have the Thatcher dealing with the Thatcher this time rather than maybe the Zephyr. But Geo just dropping away there. They're not going to lose the exothermic.
I don't know what Grixer was doing, because Grixer pulled away. He had the gadget at the ready and then stepped away from the wall. So they've lost an exothermic and EMP for no real reason there.
Cameraman's going to take the challenge down onto Grixer instead. They'll allow him to get the wall, but really the damage is kind of done there, because it's going to limit now their breaching capability. They've still got Ambi on the ace, so it's not the end of the world. There is certainly other options. However, Dots is going to take Ambi down, so I apologise for the caster curse on that one.
Where is Ambi? Just I'd love to observe if we can. Can you show me where Ambi died? Was he outside the bedroom cubby window or something? I'm not quite sure. Because I'm curious as to whether or not he was trying to push in, looking for a fight as a backstep there on the ace, or if he's just been completely swung on through the open wall. Yeah. Thank you very much, observers. Appreciate it.
you go, maybe the long angle from inside of sight
I
potentially.
realise we haven't actually addressed the observers at all with this competition so far. It's not like us.
It's not.
I actually don't know who's observing the game. We'll have to find out.
Got a lot of Valkyrie cams on the upstairs as well, just providing information for Dash. Couple of nitros in hand, him and cameraman. So again, something that Soniqs need to be aware of. They don't want to be getting hit by nitros. They're already one man down at this point. Grix are taking a lot of damage as well. Geo just trying to clear upstairs. Is going to get caught out. No, it's Rexon actually who gets taken down by Lobin. Grixer is down along the way. So this is not looking pretty at the minute for Soniqs. 2 versus 5. Geo trying to get something going. Just put that pressure on into Terrace. Does manage to find Lobin, takes a lot of damage along the way and just needs to be cautious over any potential Valkyrie cams that might be up there. There's still nitros available. There are still impact nades available as Dots manages to take that last sliver of health from Geo.
Well, Citizen's got it all to do against 4. Really throws you back to the old days when he was playing over in EU. Would often be the last player left in a 1v3 or a 1v4. Here, I guess it's more of a 2v4 since Grixer is back on his feet, but with 20 seconds to play with Soniqs have got a hell of a lot to do, and they're betting everything on this march in through house. They do find one, but gets closed out by cameraman who picks up the double. Loss in the lead.
Lots have really woken up over the last couple of rounds. The first 2 rounds particularly, Soniqs were well on top of them and made life very difficult for them. Got themselves a couple on the board, but now lost 3 in a row, and it's starting to look a little bit troublesome for Soniqs on the attack. Like I said, I think, you know, I'd expect the Soniqs to come on to defense on Skyscraper and be reasonably confident that they can win those 2 top floor sites. So that's going to potentially buy them 4 rounds there if they can hold on to them too. So it's really not the end of the world if it's 4-2 at the half switch, but if they can maybe get this last attack, take it to 3-3, they give themselves a good opportunity to win it in regulation then.
My cameraman's first shot in that 2K at the end as well. Just no chance you see that one coming. It was filthy. And I love how Ambi's kind of now seeing that reaction of just like, don't even know how I died there. Just swung me, didn't even know I was there. It was crazy. Yeah, it will happen. Players will swing sometimes. They will catch you completely off guard. Maybe a change of pace, though, coming into Soniqs' last attack, with Geo currently hovering over that Monty. Something we've seen a few teams default to over the last couple of days when things feel a little bit out of control, like you're not quite getting the synergy the way that you used to have in. Soniqs here just want to try and squeak this one over the line. 3 rounds on the attack of Skyscraper. They'll be ecstatic with that if they can get away with it. Though I'm sure back home somewhere, Super is sitting there thinking we easily could have had more.
I think at the minute, one of the big problems for Soniqs is the entry. They're losing a lot of the entry fights. I've missed 1 round along the way. I don't know who got it in round 4, but otherwise, round 1, 2, 3, and 5 have all gone in favour of loss. Round 4 may well have done as well. But an absolute best case scenario for Soniqs, they've got 1 out of 5 entries. And it's just putting them on that back foot every time. It's like I said, we saw that round where Lost then were able to just leave 2 roamers out on the T and karaoke side, out on drum stairs, and just make life difficult because the Soniqs know they have to deal with that. So I'd like to see them come in here, get that entry kill, give themselves the opportunity, give themselves the advantage, and see what they can build from there.
Well, to circle back to what we said at the start of the map, that was one of the defining factors of the games yesterday for both of these teams. Soniqs, +7 on entry, Lost dead even despite going 2-0. So if nothing else, it shows that thing we were saying to watch out for has shown itself to be true. Lost are the ones walking away with that entry win, and that's a massive loss for Soniqs.
Geo's just nearly given his life away there, just exposing himself to Geishador and taking an awful lot of damage, and they now know that they've got somebody inside of Geisha that they need to deal with. The question is, how long will it take them to do it? The answer, not very long at all. Citizen manages to take down Dash with a nice headshot, and that's really good for Soniqs. That's the entry they were looking for. They keep the shield alive, although needs to be careful because that nitro that's in the hands of Dots anywhere near the Monty will finish him off. Does get a little bit of health back from the boost from Finker. Ambi helping his buddy out there, but 5 versus 4 now. Soniqs have got the foundation that they need to push forward. They can use the Monty to bully and to force Maya back.
Should know that the monster's pushing him up here as well. Knows the wind is big. I mean, realistically, when you've got 2 of them being opened up at the same time, you've got to back out there. You're getting pushed in, the pressure's building, it's time to get out of dodge, and that's exactly what Maya has done. But Ambi scored down to cameraman. Lobin gets one back onto Citizen. But is it too little, too late here? Soniqs are still bearing down on them with the numbers advantage and a Monty spearheading the charge.
Plenty of time as well, 52 seconds, diffuser in hand. They've kind of got everything they need. They're going to start pushing into VIP now.
Is he trapped?
Maya needs to be, I think he might have. That's actually pretty smart from Maya. It's not, he can't get back out.
He needs the help,
could crouch in, but he can't get back out, and he needs some assistance here, otherwise they're going to lose the Monty. This could be a big problem. He's taking so much chip damage. There you go, that's the kill. And there was nothing that Soniqs could do to keep the shield alive.
And very little they could do to get rid of the Keeper barrier easily as well. Brilliant play from Maya, very heads up, and Geo pushing a bit too far ahead and being punished for it as well. You could just see 2 or 3 members of Lost as well sprinting over to VIP to come and provide support, but Soniqs couldn't easily break the Keeper barrier because as soon as they expose themselves to start hitting it, their legs are exposed, they die, and they can't shoot back. Again, beautiful play from Maya. Full credit to him for that.
Yep, so little that they could do there, and like you say, maybe Geo just overextending a little bit. The problem is that I don't want to be too critical because he's a Monty. You kind of got to bully players. That's the point. You're going in to create space. You're going in to provide intel, so go in and try and force Maya out of that position. To be honest, it's just unfortunate that it's the Azami. If it's anybody else, he's pretty much fine there, and he can go in and try and push them round a little bit, but as soon as that Keeper barricade goes up, as you say, there's so little that they can do because there's a number of angles that would see the feet there if you tried to come across it.
Through flash
and it was so difficult, so really well played there from Maya to get that done. Geo maybe just needing that little bit of extra support before pushing into VIP, and there was the point as well earlier where he just turned too far and took a lot of damage from Geisha, and you know, if you're going to bring along the Monty, you've got to make sure that you're protecting yourself a little bit better.
Maybe we'll see that when Lost give it a go at some point. It was Dots hovering over it, but look at the comp we got inside here, Tim. We always see Namara, we always get excited because normally it points to some kind of spicy strategy coming out. And assuming we're attacking into Karaoke and T, or are we on the downstairs? I believe it's Karaoke and T. Yes, it is. I think we all know exactly what to expect from ranked here, Tim.
Yeah, I think...
but is it too readable for pro play is going to be the big question.
Yeah, I mean, the pros will often use Amaru in a number of different ways. Sometimes they'll bring Amaru just for the loadout, but also you'll see Amaru often used more at the end of rounds as well. You know, I think every time you see Amaru in ranked, it's about getting in within the first 20 seconds. But that's not always the case at pro play. You can bring Amaru. It's not about speed in terms of the beginning of the round, get it all going. Amaru can often just be, rather than speed, I'd use the phrase explosiveness is what it's about. So sometimes it could be in the last 30 seconds of a round, and you could have the defenders so occupied by firefights elsewhere and positioning elsewhere that when you zip into sight with 30 seconds left to go, you get kill, 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 and Amaru can be explosive in that way. So sometimes we will see, you know, considerably different play for the Amaru.
Far so good though. No early gunfights taking place between either side. More just squaring themselves up for what looks to be a pretty basic execute stepping through. Dots is the one to obviously keep a very close on as he's the one who's got the diffuser and playing on the Amaru. Sure enough, he's coming in on the downstairs here, straight up black stairs, which may not be expected, but it does give them this top side control pretty much immediately. Now it's the question of can they get themselves in. There's no rotation into Karaoke from black stairs. Both walls have been closed off. So they've either got to breach them with hard breach gadgets or work their way down the corridor, and that just feels like a death sentence.
Lost might be making the same mistake that Soniqs did here. They haven't dealt with Geisha. Grixer is still positioned inside of Geisha. When they try to push in, they're going to have to tuck deep behind that bomb chassis on that half wall, because if they don't, he's going to have a field day. He's got the lines of sight through to everywhere else in Karaoke. They need to manage that situation. Dots will pick up Citizen. Good advantage for Lost to build on here.
He's got all the gadgets. He's in out. The Capital is going to say was the difference maker, but across towards gold. That's where they left things open here. Lost still got the numbers advantage, but now really they've got to force their way in and get kills, and that's exactly what Lobin has gone for. They've broken open the Geisha hold as well. 2 players left standing, and Rexton really was going to be the last potentially backstabbing opportunity that Soniqs were going to have. We're simply not going to see it come to light here though. Geo doing what he can to try and pep this one down, but it's simply not going to happen. Put on his backside, diffuser going to be complete.
Yeah, it was almost certain at that point the diffuser would go down. Cameraman picks up the final kill a couple of seconds later. I kind of feel for Soniqs there because I like what they did. They had Grixer, they had Rexton working together. They had a really nice crossfire. One from Gold was the one who actually stopped the plant. So the only place that Grixer can't stop a plant from Geisha inside of Karaoke is next to the bomb chassis behind that half wall. Okay, that's your major problem. That's where your Amaru gets into, and his is looking to put the diffuser down, but it doesn't matter because Soniqs have got the man inside of gold with the line of sight, gets a nice easy kill, puts the diffuser on the ground. Lost then just adapted and reacted to that and went in. They recognised, right, we need to take Geisha here quickly, and they did so. Cleared Grixer out of there, and that gave them all the freedom that they needed then. They could plant on the reinforcement near the wall rather than, you know, having to use that half wall because there was no longer the threat from Geisha. It meant that Rexon couldn't impact on the plant anymore, and it was difficult for them. But I like what Soniqs were doing there on the defence. It just wasn't enough.
As you can see, immediately they called an attack timeout as well, which somewhat surprises me. You're only a round into this half, and immediately enough issues identified that they need to have a conversation. Whether or not it was some emotion spilling over from the first half, Soniqs obviously being behind here, 5-2. Issues that Coach Lauren seems to need to step in and address now before it gets too bad. The 45 seconds are up. Coach headset microphones go back up. They can no longer talk to their teams, and it's back down to the 5 players in the server to figure their way through what is proving to become a bit of a mountain being built by Loss.
Just seeing our highlights there, and the majority of them will go in favour of Loss. They did manage to pick up some nice kills. Loban hitting Geo whilst down on the deck through the soft wall to finish him off. But we will head into another defensive round for Soniqs here. They need to get something going. 2 rounds they have on the scoreboard compared to Loss's 5. And it's not looking great for them at the minute. They're going to head down onto the same side of the map, but the lower floor, it's going to be kitchen and barbecue. So I often say this is kind of a similar attack to the one that we've just seen in Tea and Karaoke. You've just got to do that extra step of then going downstairs. But they're going to want to secure some of the same areas. They're going to want to secure Karaoke. They're going to want to secure Geisha. Ambi just trying to get aggressive there. I don't think that's the worst idea. You're 2-5 down. You kind of need something going. Maybe that little boost of a peak can just fire you back into things.
Well, I was thinking maybe that's what we're going to see in this round, because the Legion, the Valkyrie, the Solis, all very capable of getting out and being flammers or at least aggressive in the early round. And I think maybe that's why preemptively you've seen Loss going towards bringing along a DKB and a Jackal in this round, just in case there are any hijinks and they've got to go chasing people down.
Loss are moving quickly here, 35 seconds. They're already inside of Exhibition Office, blasting walls open to give access through to Dragon as well. And they're really going to start forcing. Soniqs are going to have decisions to make in the next 30 seconds or so, and that is how much do we want to hold on to this top floor? Are we willing to give our lives over it, or do we need to drop back to side? Because those challenges are going to be coming very, very soon from Loss.
Here, Ambi as well. He really wants to C4 tossing towards Terrace. See him on the camera. I imagine that's now been shot out. Yep, taken out cleanly and simply by Lobin, who can now probably walk forwards a little more comfortably. Still, of course, conscious that there is a C4 in the back pocket of the Valkyrie that he'll have to contend with at some point. 2 players now stacking up. They really want this drum control, and by the looks of it, with drum being clear, they can now work their way forwards.
Soniqs are doing a good job of absorbing the pressure here. I'm just watching Rexon, who's trying to look for a little bit of a flank through Shrine and Dragon, I think, to support his team. There you go. Manages to pull it off. Great play from Rexon there. Grixer gets in on the action as well. And this is a nice hold from Soniqs. They've absorbed so much pressure up on that top floor, and they've come away with a man advantage. 4 versus 3 becomes 3 versus 2 as a couple of kills rain in, but it's still the Soniqs on top.
Really there again, that backstab, as you called out upon Shrine, was the one they needed. That just completely cut Maya and Lobin out of the round, had them taken down, and it was sort of then a renewed frontline requirement for the side of Loss. And now it comes down to the dynamic duo. It's Dots and Dash to do some work here. Dash into a 2K to really balance things out. Dash almost offline here though, popped out by Rex, and it's all down to Dots. He's got to find both Geo and Rexon inside 50 seconds.
That's it, they can just play this sort of casually now, wait for the pings, wait for the information. There was the potential, we know one vault cam was shot out, there was the potential for vault cams, maybe a default cam here or there. You're just in a 2v1 like that as defenders, you're relying on those players that are dead to get on the cams, get on the observation tools, give you that little bit of info. They got it very quickly and they stepped out and got that kill onto the Capitao. Really well played from Soniqs, nice defense after that tack timeout as well, so it just helps to really switch up that momentum for them. Well played from the NA side.
I don't know if it was a guessing game almost as well, that they assumed Shrine would be clear, or if someone had called it clear maybe 10 seconds prior, and then it turned out, well, actually a player has rotated back in towards it, and again shot Logan with that, and being even aware of what was going on to the north of him. But that really was what broke that round apart, I feel, for the side of Loss. A small gap in the information net, and Soniqs, they capitalise on it.
Going to be heading then into round 9, 5-3. Honestly, at the minute, I feel like this is coming down to teams winning rounds rather than losing them, which is what we want to see.
I agree.
I feel like both teams are playing well. We've got a great matchup in the server here. Soniqs probably a little bit, they've been a little bit unfortunate in 1 or 2 rounds, maybe could have gone a different way, but you know, Lost certainly deserved their lead. They've been playing very well. They've taken advantage of any mistakes that Soniqs have made. But yeah, looking good at the minute, and I'm looking forward to these next couple of rounds. This one's particularly important, coming into round 9, 5-3. If Soniqs get this, they're back within touch. It's 1 round between them. If not, they're facing 3 map points. It's a huge difference mentally. So Soniqs, they need to continue with that momentum they've just got out of the last round.
I feel at this point the round 9 conversation is a staple of our games. We love talking about it. Because as you say, it is that. It
usually comes somewhere between 8 and 10. You'll get that pivotal round. It's
depending
very
on
often
score.
9.
Yeah. But in this case, it is the 9. Alrighty, onwards we march. Keep an eye on Logan once again, but not really once again. It was Dots playing it last time round, but keep an eye on the Amaru once again. See what the use case is here. Knowing Loban, he likes to be on the entry, maybe more for the gun than it is strictly for the gadget itself, but may well make use of it later into the round. On the Sonic side, digging in deep behind those 2 architectural operators in the Azami and the Mirror. We spoke about them quite a lot in the B stream yesterday, alongside the Castle, really forming up this brand of architecture, or architects operators whose real goal is to transform the way that sites get played, and needless to say, they both do achieve that outcome. Imagine. Ambi
just holding the angle underneath the Kiba barricade there. Again, reasonably, it kind of depends. If you're trying to approach it and deal with the Kiba barricade, you've got enough cover there to be able to knock it out. But Ambi obviously is going to be very ready for any push that is coming from there.
I like the extension, but I mentioned when we saw we were coming to Skyscraper, the one thing I'm always mindful of is good teams can slice this map in half by getting terrace and dragging control. Ambi's a little bit isolated here and would struggle to drop away to his team without maybe running down towards where Loban is now, and Loban is waiting for that drop to come through. If you chuck someone on terrace window, Ambi has no way back to site comfortably. No one's playing there yet, which makes me think actually maybe it's a small oversight by Lost, but they could punish Ambi here and really pinch him if they wanted to.
They could. The thing is, Lost have just been far too slow, Des. We're 2 minutes into the round. Ambi's still in position, as you say. Could have been pinched, maybe could have been dealt with, hasn't been. So from his perspective, he's kind of doing a great job because he's wasted, you know, almost 2.5 minutes there. He will be downed eventually, but Lost, they're going to have to start moving quickly now. Yes, they get the opener. Yes, they 5 versus 4, but they've only got 40 seconds left. They don't have enough map control, really, to think about and execute. There's a lot of work for Lost to do here.
I was going to say, if you get the second kill off the back of this zone of 5 versus 3, you can pull off the execute with 30 seconds to go and be confident you can come out on top. They've done just that. They've got rid of the Mirror. The C4 is offline. Not that it matters, because there are still 3 in back pocket, and Citizen put that to good use.
Citizen's now going to be able to potentially work through Shrine. Geo finds Loban. All of a sudden, it's level with 15 seconds left to go. Dash finds Grixer. This is going to come down to a chase after kills, I would imagine. Dots does have the diffuser in hand, is able to start putting it down. Can Geo find it from underneath? He's getting the ping. Dots has to come off the plant. 3 seconds left to go. 2 versus 2. Cameraman recovers and starts to go for it. Geo finds him though, and Soniqs, they managed to win it from underneath. And all of a sudden, there's only 1 round in this. Ambi looks as confused as you, Des.
What? I don't know why he pulled off with about 1.5 seconds to go, and then I'd assume from the team kill that it was a bug of some kind, that cameraman couldn't then had to team kill and take the diffuser and plant it himself, but in which case he'd have had that called out. So I'm very perplexed as to what has just happened there. Maybe we'll see on replays, I don't know, but I'm very confused.
Answers will be forthcoming at some point, I'm sure. But as it stands, 5-4 on the scoreboard. Soniqs have got themselves right back into this over the last couple of rounds. That's 2 in a row now, and starting to build a little bit of momentum, all on the back of that tactical timeout, showing its value for the coach's input there that Goddess was able to bring.
Oh my! Okay, that is.
The ace had moved. I think he was going maybe the call was there that Geo was underneath, and from where the movement was, I'm wondering if the ace was trying to get up on top of the desk.
That's what I
so
thought
that
he was
there wasn't the
going for.
threat from below.
Yeah.
Because obviously Gio's down there with the shotgun. There's information being pinged out. Lost will have had an idea of that. So I think the movement was, I've got time to get up on the desk and we can secure the plant. I'm not sure what cameraman was sort of pre-firing at or taking a shot. It's one of those things. It happens. You just got to forget it and move on. But that's going to potentially hit Lost hard. That was a round that they had a real opportunity to win in the 3 versus 2 there. But Soniqs, they did really well. Gio underneath, able to deal with that. And I like how they managed the situation. Moving on to T and Karaoke then for their next defense. Round 10, it's 5-4.
You mentioned this thing around, forget about it now, it's in the past, put it behind you. I remember Bibu saying this during the halftime show when he was playing Jenga with Ginny and Ollie earlier on. I said, what's your biggest tip for those maybe that are at home? What's the motivational speech you can give them? And he was like, honestly, guys, just reset. Just reset. After every round, it's a new game. There's no carryover from the previous, except the score at the top of the screen. Just restart all over again. And that's hopefully what we'll see Lost do here, as that otherwise, again, could have been a 6-3 pull if they got that plant off and denied Soniqs the opportunity to pull it back. Let's not forget, Lost were 5 versus 3. So a bit of a thrown round, many would consider that to be.
It was certainly an opportunity, that much is true. Maya on the IQ, just pinging out those Valkyrie cameras. No surprise to see the IQ getting brought along. We've had quite a lot of Valkyrie play from this game, and no surprise, very powerful black eye cameras providing all that intel. Intel still being one of the absolute most important things that you can gain inside a siege. Gives you such a huge advantage. Look at that though, Grixter, Ambi, Grixter, 3 kills in a row. They're able to get 1 back, but Lost, they've been stung, they've been hit hard here. 4 versus 2 now, and Soniqs really starting to build some pace.
Don't think they expected such aggression as soon as the breach opened up, and Soniqs just absolutely slaughter Lost. A very comfortable round off a bit of a snap moment of time where they just reacted rather than saying, okay, yeah, the map's yours, you can open what you want. No, now we're fighting back as soon as we see you. They pulled it off wonderfully there. Lost just completely caught off guard. All things square at 5-5, and Lost call in a tack time out.
Yep, no surprise to see that. That's 3 rounds in a row now, ever since the tack time out from Soniqs. So it shows the value of those pauses sometimes and those opportunities to just reset and have a discussion about exactly what is going on at the minute. Lobin is leading the way for Lost, 10-8. And this is what we said. We need to see Lobin. We need to see Maya stepping up. That is always when Lost perform better. Is when those two are firing. Maya a little bit quiet on 5-5 at the minute, but Soniqs for me seems to just be sort of more stable across the board. You've got the minimum kills is Ambi and Rexton on 5, most is Grixer on 9. You've got this quite even spread between them all. They're all chipping in.
All right, tap timeout done. Back into the game we go. Soniqs on the defensive side, for those maybe who are tuning in a little bit late. Barbecue and Kitchen going to be the site that we head into. And we are at least, as a hover, I'll say it to hover, Dots has gone back over towards that monster that we saw him hovering a couple of times earlier in the half. And I mentioned here about the aggression. You've just seen it on your screen from Grixer, just immediately there. And that small, probably half a second to a second, bearing in mind it was in slow-mo, missed timing between the big window push and the breach push, just goes to show teams have to be so in sync, down to almost a millisecond to make those kind of plays work, because it gave Grixer the opportunity to get 1 kill, swing across to the right, and complete onto a second. So small, fine margins at this level of play, Tim.
Certainly are, 5-5, and who would have thought it when we were back at 5-2. This has been a great show of mental resilience from Soniqs to get themselves back into it. Certainly not beaten when it was 5-2 on the scoreboard. We now head into round 11. We've got a guarantee of all 12, and it's going to be Kitchen and Barbecue for Soniqs. Quite an important round, you feel, here. It was the site that was sort of the start of the snowball for them back in round 8. That was the first of the 3 in a row that they won, so now they start circling back and going for it again. They did a very good job of holding on to the top floor. Lost were unable to get any sort of real map control in order to threaten Soniqs, and if they're able to do the same again, it's going to be a little bit rinse and repeat, I think. Just get yourself wedged into that top floor and just waste as much time as you can.
I could be wrong in saying this, but it feels to me like North America's the only region that really likes leaning in towards the Maestro. We saw SSG doing it yesterday, obviously seeing Gio doing it here. We had it in an earlier round defending Karaoke and T. Most of the teams default towards the Warden, 'cause it's more mobile, because you don't have to then rely on gadgets that could be destroyed to do the job of being able to see through smoke or through whatever it might be that's coming your way. Obviously, extra information comes in from the Maestro, and that's another thing to consider, but just feel there's only a few teams, mainly from North America, that make use of the operator still.
Citizen manages to pick up dots, and Lost early on are trying to deal with Geisha, but maybe not going to have too much joy given that they've lost one member who was pushing for it. Citizen able to just play in and around that area and keep himself active for the time being. He's been forced back a little bit by that Selma charge. He can't now push up and play behind the boxes because of the threat of Dash on the rappel, but you've got to remember the clock is ticking. Dash cannot sit on that rappel forever.
Probably kicking themselves a little bit here, Lost, because you can just feel the game slowly slipping away from them. The mistakes are becoming more frequent. The pace is slowing down a lot on their attacking half. Soniqs the one's very firmly in control, unless we could see some magic come out of someone like Lobin or Maya here. Really, anyone could be the hero, and it's Maya right now. 2 kills for himself. As said, it's got to arrive. And arrived it has in the form of a man up on Shrine.
Here's the magic you ordered, Des.
Thank you. That's not going to guarantee the round winner. They lost the 5v3 earlier.
Yeah, Maya getting a big double there just to swing things around, and I'm sure Soniqs will be kicking themselves for that loss. 2 of them stacked up behind that Kiba barricade, and certainly offering the opportunity up to Loss to pick up a couple of kills quickly. Citizen is on the top floor, still looking to challenge, going to be taken down, dealt with well. Managed to get Dash, he's had a double in the round, so his job, you'd argue, largely done, but 3 versus 2 now. Lost with 30 seconds left on the board. Diffuser in hand, they have what they need. Is Ambi able to be that talisman for the round? Is he able to cut them down on the flank? Absolutely not. Lobin there, cameraman, able to put this diffuser down on the ground. It will be activated, and Gio, he has the weapon, he has the Alder. We know the clutch capability of the gun, but he's not even going to find one as Maya closes him out, and Lost have found something from somewhere.
Getting shot from all sides there as well. Top of stairs, Maya swinging off towards his right. Just no way you get out of that one. And I know, I don't want to harp on the new kid, it's not fair. Like, Ambi yesterday obviously had a wonderful game, but here a couple of times you've seen him step up to a gunfight. We saw him pushing from Shrine to Dragon back in the first half. Here just then you see him try and push his way through and just get completely slaughtered on the step through as well by Lobin. It does feel like now obviously he's being kind of taken up a level and being told, look, these guys were grand finalists at the last major. Very, very good players. It's not going to be quite the walk in the park that it was previously. All that said, you know, being 5 and 10 is maybe a bit of a wake-up call, but there is some tightening to do at Soniqs. And I keep saying it about every team, is that realistically, you've got 4 games to play this week. It's 5 days of action, 4 best-of-3s that every team plays. There's going to be so much growth throughout the week, I imagine, as teams look at things they can tighten up and improve.
Oh, 100%. You know, what we see now is not really going to be completely, you know, it gives us an idea of what's to come, but ultimately these teams are, as you say, going to grow and change over the next week and a half, and whoever ultimately wins this tournament, we got, you know, you can look back to these performances and they're probably going to be quite different when they get towards the final, and that's what a tournament is all about. It's, you know, you turn up and you give your best on every single day in every single match, but you hope that that best gets better as you go.
Alrighty. Down we go once more. Clearly Soniqs committed to making this site work. Very similar lineup coming in once again. And now Dots onto the Monty. Sebit's here maybe a couple of times this half. We've seen it hovered at points as well, not strictly committed. Well, now here it is. Double hard breach on side as well. The IQ making quite a repeated appearance in this half as well. Aware of the Valkyrie being online, but also maybe to do a little bit of hunting on towards the Solace and give her a taste of her own medicine tin.
Yeah, exactly that. So we're going to be back on the drones then for a loss. They really don't want to throw this one away. They know they've got the opportunity here. They're on map point, so they've just slowed things down a little bit. 45 seconds, only just getting themselves established inside of sight, not inside of sight, but inside of the map. They're over on the exhibition office side, and they're going to try to start working that sweep across, but you just know they wanted that information first. They've spent that extra little bit of time droning. They have got the Shield of Monty, and I think they're just hoping to bully their way across the finish line here, Des.
Yeah, although we saw how how Lost abused the Monty earlier on with the Azami. Not quite going to be the same look this time round, as there is no Azami on side for Soniqs, but there's always ways to upset the apple cart when it comes to a Monty. As much as it's frustrating to play against, there are many ways to talk to that poor soul. For now, at least they have got this top side control coming in. Rex and forced to drop away here as well. Being chased by the Monty at least for a couple of seconds. Ambi coming down here as well. Dash catching him out. And Dots and Dash, I'll give it to them yet again, are having a brilliant series so far today.
Yeah, the utility now being applied to that T-wall, just looking to continue the push across top floor. Grixter caught out, taken down by Lobin.
Lobin is
and
everywhere.
this is now 5 versus 3. Lobin really is turning into the Atlanta version of himself here on Skyscraper, as you say, just absolutely everywhere when his team needs him. Lobin, I think he's got the skeleton key ready. He's looking for the close range engagement, but no. Geo, Rexton, they turn it around. Can the Sonics hold on, Des?
Well, they've got to try and get control of sight here. They've got the verticals, which is what Lost were looking for. They've got 50 seconds to make a play work. You've got the Monty. You don't want him dropping through a hatch. So quite smartly, he sent him instead down black stairs. But he's got to find kills. Citizens found 2. Tim, I hope you ready and got that line locked and loaded, because cameraman, unless he can pull off a 1 versus 2, there's only one way that this game is going. He's had a great couple of rounds throughout this game, not necessarily been consistent when it comes to the kills, but this is where they need him to shine the brightest, Tim.
He needs to pick that diffuser up, really, to give himself the option at least. There you go, gets it in hand. If it comes down to a 1v1, it's always nice to have the opportunity. He really does need to find one of these kills first, though. Heads himself in. Is he going to try to stick this, or is it just bait to try and pull them out? He's going to get sacked by the Maestro. Cam can't turn on it, can't manage the flick. Rexton moves around, smart play. They've got just a bit of separation now, able to find the kill. It's Geo, and we're going to overtime, Des.
For the second time today, Tim, it has a habit of following us around. 7-5, overtime. Some long games our way, Tim. And this one, I feel, deserves it. We've seen...
My throat thanks you all.
We've seen variation. Sonic started out with a great 2-0 at the start of the map. Lost really swung their way back into it. And whether by hook or by crook, we've now got ourselves up to the 6-6 scoreline. It's hard to see which way it goes. It is Sonic starting on the defensive side, so you'd lean towards them. But again, given how this game has played out so far, even that feels like you can be throwing it out the window.
It's going to be T and Karaoke. It's going to be Sonics on the defense. So far, we have had 4-2 halves in favor of the defenders. So you would argue that the North American side maybe have somewhat of an advantage here. Looking at their stats on T, they lost the defensive T in round 7. They won the defensive T in round 10. So, are they able to hold on to it? It's been 50-50 so far. It's going to be very much the same as the defense that they just showed us, really. Trying to keep hold of that top floor, particularly over to the T and Karaoke side. Maybe try and maintain a little bit of control in and around Dragon and Drum. But a lot of these defenses have hinged on Geisha. The pushes have come from Black Stairs. It's been about getting inside of meeting. I mentioned it last time. I liked what Sonics did. They had the angle from Gold that they were able to shoot through to the bomb chassis. They had the player in Geisha that was able to monitor everywhere else in Karaoke, and it was a really good way of holding on to that site. It was just unfortunate they lost a couple of kills, and particularly the Geisha man, Grixer, was taken out, and Lost were then able to get the diffuser down. So if they can hold on to those areas again, maybe a little bit more force behind it, then they can possibly hold on to T.
This round they got the Warden and the Maestro coming out. I spoke about this a little bit earlier on. So here really, not forcing the Maestro, but pushing him more into that information role. Not that it wasn't there before, but obviously helped if there were any smokes coming rolling on through. Here though, you've got the Warden for that, albeit there are no smokes on the attacking side. Just trying to make points all together. Rexton, make yourself very known when you're making use of the Alder, mind you. It's not exactly the quietest gun in the game, Tim.
No, you pretty much know who, where, when,
He's a very slow boy.
It gives off a lot of intel, that is fair to say. Citizen going to take a pot shot, but it's at a Monty, so it's only going to bounce off the shield. Not the end of the world. And at the minute, you just feel like it's the last thing you want to be hearing is that Monty shield in and around Shrine, knowing that they could potentially just walk on into site and start bullying you. Ambi in an important position here, looking to hold off that push into Drum, which is going to help support the player inside of Geisha, which is Geo, who's playing over in that area at the minute. And Sonics are holding on well. Lost need that first kill to start unpicking things.
Sonics has got to be careful because he's very isolated right now, and the only person with the diffuser, sorry, not the only person, like more than one can have it, but he is very much by himself. If Ambi is going to keep deleting people out down here around Drum 2, Terrace no doubt one of the focal points here. This could get real messy. He can get shot in the back if he gets too close. You really want to go for a fight here? Surely no.
This is getting a little bit risky for Ambi. He does have the support from Grixer, but it's not going to matter. Dash takes him down. Citizen finds Dots, though, as Soniqs keep themselves with a man advantage and just preventing Lost from being able to get themselves over and into sight. It's all active around T door at the minute. Lobin trying to work with the book from underneath, can't find his man. The movement is just a bit too slippery, Des.
Citizen is dancing with death right now. Rexton finding Dash as well. It's looking good for the North American side. Only 2 left standing. Lobin working his way up on main stairs. Nowhere near enough. Soniqs up to map point.
Really good hold from Soniqs there. Ambi did a great job out in drum, was, you know, playing with his life, absolutely. But there was some really good teamwork that we saw from Lost. They got rid of the shield in front of Ambi, and Maya swung in immediately on the back of it to take the challenge. But Ambi was not rattled by it. He was ready. He got the headshot, and it really helped Soniqs because it just slowed down that push from Lost, and they were able to sort of reset, challenge the Monte, and then it forced everything out towards T-Door. So well played from Soniqs, holding on there, and that gives them the lead and a match point advantage.
Does. It's just, again, I can never predict round to round how this is going to play out. We obviously look back at the stats and see how things have gone historically. That's one way to kind of get the assessment on it. Really round to round, you just don't know what's going to come.
Let's go, they say.
Yes, Tim, those are the exact words they said.
All I heard was let's go.
No expletives because they're very good boys.
Heading over to Exhibition and Office this time then. It's going to be Lost on the defense. And this is do or die for them. A win here is a must. If not, Soniqs will take the first map. Reminder, this is Soniqs' map pick, so they will be desperate to hold on to it. They really don't want to go into the second map of Cafe against the Lost side who picked themselves into it, a map down. So can they do it on the attack?
Can they do it on a rainy Wednesday night in Stoke, Tim?
It's always the question.
Whenever you say that, just like, can they do it? I'm just like, they do it in Stoke? Probably not. UK joke. Onwards we go with the shield of Geo, charging on the way forwards. Hopefully not going to be reliving the trauma of Maya previously, and hopefully Grixer here doesn't step away as his team start getting ready to open this up as he has done previously, costing him the exothermic the last time around. Has a mirror on it this time, mirror window on it this time around. Of course, that gets taken out as well by the hard breach as it comes on through. But with the Selma being shot out, this wall isn't fully open. It's now only really useful as a sight line. They do have the ace available with Ambi to get more of it open if they so choose.
It's an interesting one, really. Do you take the chance? Do you try to push and get another Selma on there and catch the mirror out when they come to shoot it off? Or do you just accept that it's just simply going to be a line of sight and it restricts the movement inside a VIP? Cameraman just looking for the trick out on the geisha wall at the minute. Doesn't want... It's not the actual external geisha wall. That one is already open. What he's trying to prevent is the line of sight through into drum. They want to be able to keep that area closed so that Lobin can maintain his position in terrace, and it keeps that whole extension alive.
I didn't realize it earlier on, but I think what they've done is actually really smart. They open up that single geisha wall themselves on the right-hand side, so you can't put an exothermic on that wall, which would then open up the wall that is currently being electrified by a cameraman. Now, there's no thermite, so it's kind of a moot point, but it does prep you for that kind of eventuality. So just a smart little thing that we've seen Lost do here that I haven't seen too many of the teams do.
Yep, and we've still got... we've actually had a change in personnel there. Dots has been the person to move up into terrace. Lobin has moved away. He's the one that's supporting cameraman at the minute and trying to keep him safe in that position. Citizen does manage to pick up Dash, and that's a great start for the North American side. Geo looking to push across here, wants to get himself inside a shrine. Cameraman's dipped away. That's going to give Dots the freedom to move if he wants to.
In behind. Yes, he's slow, but it also gives you a lot of information on the march forwards.
Yeah, they're going to have to start pushing now, though. 20 seconds left to go. And they're going to have to think about how they get a plant down to extend this clock. Grixer manages to get cameraman, but Maya is there, as is Dots. It's 3 versus 2 as Geo finds one with the pistol. 2 versus 1 in a quick swing. 1 versus 1. 8 seconds left to go. It's Lobin who finds the kill, though. And once again, that man keeps Lost in this. It is going all the way to 15, Des.
Haven't heard that one yet, and now I'm very happy to hear it. Dash just getting in the chat with lol after Grixer's comment earlier of lol. Wow, all the way down to 1 round to decide it all. Soniqs on the defense. Heaven knows which way this game falls, but it could well be shaping us up for an amazing series between these two. It's been back and forth, it's been scrappy at points, but If nothing else, it is entertaining, Tim, is what I'd summarise it as.
Oh, this is exactly what I wanted out of this game. I'm on the edge of my seat here. This is brilliant. Getting all 15 to kick us off. It's just been back and forward. Both teams have had really good passages of play. You know, both teams have had opportunities to punish the others and have taken it as well. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch so far, and we've got at least one more map to come. It's going to be Cafe. We might have a third as well. For now, we've got to see who wins Skyscraper, and we're heading on into round 15. It's Soniqs on the defense, and they are going to take Office and Exhibition. Just looking through their previous defenses, round 9 they won it, and that was the only time they tried this. So they've played it once, won it once.
5 seconds remain.
Could well see us ending in a similar spot to last time. In fact, it's almost a bit of deja vu because we've now got a Monty coming in again, this time for Losto rather than Sonic. So attacking into the same position with the same operator, not entirely the same across both lineups, but I imagine you're going to see Dots being, again, the spearhead of this attack and trying to find whether he pushes in through VIP or instead, if he's going through Terrace, to exactly where Gio went last time round.
We've seen a lot of persistence with the Monty from both sides. In all honesty, we haven't really seen any success from it yet.
Not really, no.
No.
Obviously valuable in a plant-based scenario because the shield goes on your back and protects you, especially from above from being shot, but as you say,
I wouldn't like to say it categorically, but I'm not sure that we've actually seen the attackers win a round where they've had Monty.
I'd need to check, but I also feel the same as well, yeah.
Citizen, a big nitro to kick things off. Takes down Maya.
You know what that is?
5 versus 4.
That's that domino meme. C4 onto Maya. Sonics win the map. Honestly, that could be the big difference maker they need.
And a successful trick. That's going to be an exothermic charge loss for Dash as well. Great play from Ambi there, just playing around that utility game.
They have very little soft breach now. Now that Zophia's offline, you've only really got the Ashe to turn to, and you want her to help get rid of the mirror windows. Azami is going to be an absolute terror in this round. So keep an eye on Grixer, where you see this Azami's going down and where they play around that. That could be huge towards the outcome of this game. And with the Monty on side, it's not exactly going to speed things up. If nothing else, it'll slow it down. And my God, it was like a jack in the box. Ambi with a C4 on the other side, just as they were breaking it out. That's the third lol of the game. Thank you very much, Rexton. But it feels like Sonics are on course to win this one, Tim.
Yep, 2 nitros,
This
2
is so
kills.
cheeky.
That's exactly what you want. Cameraman just waiting with the gun sticks out. He's just waiting for that call. He's waiting for his teammates to get into position. There he goes. How much impact can he have? None at all. Citizen shuts him down. 5 versus 2. Citizens going wild from underneath. It's Grixer. It's Gio. It's flawless. It's the Sonics taking Skyscraper, Des.
Fourth lol of the game. Citizen in post-game. Lol. Very good. That was, of course, their map pick as well. It's good that they've got that over the line. 8-7, it is hard fought. That was not made easy for them by Lost, and I'm very excited to see how that second map for Cafe goes.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a pleasure to watch, I'm sure.
All right then, out to break when we come back. Desk, then map 2.
an absolute nail-biter for Soniqs to close out their own map pick. We went to OT not once, but the full ride, and they do close it out. They look absolutely happy. They're great to have been able to close it out, but it brings the question of what's more to come.
I mean, I asked Cameraman in the beginning of this, was he surprised by this map pick? And he said a little bit, but he felt confident going into it nonetheless. And they did start out strong. They started out very strong. And then it just immediately, I think both teams were just figuring each other out through that entire process.
They started out 5-2 lead strong.
It was great. I mean, they lost the first 2 rounds, so technically the start wasn't great, but they really got things together. It took both these 2 teams a lot of time to really work into this game, and I think that's one of the reasons we ended up going all the way into an overtime. But I think that Lost can hold the head strong. Don't forget, this is Soniqs' map pick here, and their recent form on this map hasn't been great. It just makes me even more excited for what's going to be for what the rest of this series can bring, because if that's what happens on a map that we don't think Lost are going to be good at, what happens when we get onto a map they think they're going to be great at?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of a best of 3s as well. It's where you're not confined to that one map that you need to figure it out. It's do or die. You have the opportunity to adapt and to learn as you go. And that also felt to be the story of this map particularly, where it was very much push and shove.
No, I mean, definitely. At the start, you saw Los initially figure out what Soniqs was trying to do, and then they were shutting it out. Then you saw Soniqs then rebound that, figure out what Los was doing, and then implementing that in their playstyle, shutting down Los wherever they couldn't. And it was, like I said, it was just this back and forth game that you were trying to figure out how you were going to push the next round, how you're going to push the next round, whether you're putting someone in a different position or you're bringing a different operator, whatever that was, it was working on both these teams. Then it went into the OT side of things.
Soniqs did a fantastic job here of tempering that aggression. There were times and moments where they needed to speed things up a little bit on that defense. When we saw Lost defending, they were defending so aggressively. Everything was up in the face. We had Cameraman Bandit tricking on VIP wall, just not giving an inch over to the map, even though the site is entirely the other side. And as soon as Soniqs started to get onto that wavelength on their defenses, they really started to turn things around, and they were able to take a little bit more map control and make it very difficult for these attackers to get in.
Well, I can just say a quick thing. I can't even say that one team necessarily looked better than the other here. I think all players on each team were firing from all cylinders and making sure that they were making an impact in every single round as possible, as much as they possibly could in terms of every single gunfight. I think so obviously Soniqs just came out with the win, but I can't say that one team was clearly better than the other.
Yeah, it felt more like a team affair, but we highlighted a couple of players coming into this Ollie that we really thought or expected at least to pop off, but that wasn't necessarily the case. But again, that's not necessarily a negative thing either.
Doesn't matter who pops off, someone's gonna. It was Lobin this time for Lost. We saw Citizen and Grixor have fantastic performances here. I mean, what a game for Ambi to get his teeth stuck into here. Like, you got to remember, this is this guy's second game here at SI, and he's just gone max OT with a Brazilian side, and he came off it and he looked absolutely buzzed. And he was like, we went 7-7, we went 8-7, like he was going crazy.
And I said it as well. For this being Ambi's, second game now, I think this was going to be a game that was going to end up testing him, and he didn't put up the biggest numbers that he put up yesterday.
He didn't do anything wrong, though.
But at the same time, he still was performing, and just because you aren't like at the top of the leaderboard, that doesn't take away from what you provide to the team in terms of communication, in terms of even setting up a trade for your teammate. So, I mean, by all means, Ambi is performing very well, and I just want to keep seeing that performance, keep excelling with every single game.
Well, the fact that it's the best of 3 again is going to give it an opportunity to keep seeing that, especially with the next map coming up, going to be Cafe. However, this is Los's map pick, so if anything, Ali, this should be for them comfortable territory.
This is a map that Soniqs don't really like. It's very low in terms of their preferences. Now, we can read into that what we will, but don't forget we're looking at data from Atlanta forward, so we're not got a huge sample size here really to be going off. But you look at this and you think, yep, Lost should be fairly confident on this. One of the bigger things is potentially going to be that mental aspect. Obviously, coming in off the back of this game might not be that easy.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this map specifically as well, maybe it's the G2 thing of they're saving strats for SI, because again, Soniqs, they don't like this
Are
map.
we not at SI though?
But this is what I'm saying though. They were saving it for SI because Soniqs hate Cafe. So the fact that Soniqs are okay with letting this go through clearly is playing into a mental game of that they are going to be prepared and ready for Los or whatever they're trying to do. But again, for Los, sure, they might have came off that loss off Skyscraper, but they still got their heads held high. I think they're more than ready, and that they're going to adapt just like how they were in Skyscraper, and that we're probably going to see another barn burner going into this.
Touching upon that mental side of things, especially going into this, being on the back foot from your players' experience side as well, what exactly is it that you're expecting these players to do, because we saw them take a walk outside. They're now back in their seats, ready to go.
I mean, I think the biggest thing overall is, trust me, it is grueling when you get into those late rounds, those overtimes. Like, it is grueling because you lose to small, minute things, whether it's just a gunfight, whether it's just a misplay of a position. It is grueling, but the most important thing is that you are a player. You do understand that it's all part of the process, and these guys are no strangers to experiencing a loss or experiencing overtime at that matter. It's just a matter of rebounding and taking from that recent game and figuring out what you can do overall differently to make it better going into the next.
Yeah, and then you're looking at Soniqs, which is a team that's come off of this high here, Ollie, and they're just absolutely buzzing, ready to go. You said it yourself. I mean, every single one of these players just like, let's get into the server and get this started. A pitfall here could be a little bit overexcited, a little bit overconfident, a little overzealous heading into the game.
We saw teams yesterday celebrate a full best of 3 less than the way that Soniqs celebrated that Max OT win on Skyscraper. Like, it genuinely looked like they won the whole thing. Now, that's fine. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how you're meant to celebrate, but you've got to be careful of that energy balance, especially when you've just gone to every single available round. You know you're going into another map, and who's to say we've not got a third on the way? Yeah,
in terms of like Cafe being that next map and the playstyles that we've seen so far in the adaptation here, anything particular that we're looking at Losa's side of things that they could replicate from that Sky onto Cafe?
I think it's just keeping the consistency of figuring out what your opponent is and maybe just being a little quicker with the adaptations in that. But I think that also speaks into Soniqs as well, that they were both quickly identifying what they needed to change going into those next rounds or the same site that they lost prior. So again, I think it's just going to be this big back and forth, and whoever is going to run away with this is going to figure out that opponent a lot faster than what we saw in the last game.
Some of the ways that Soniqs could look to try and do this, I know that it took them a couple of rounds to really sort of get into things. You know, they had a good couple of rounds on the attack to start things off, and then when they came up against that opposition and they came up against that really aggressive play style that Lost were bringing on the defense, they kind of crumbled a little bit. I'd like to see them try and deal with that a little bit quicker, maybe bring in some different tools or setting themselves up in a slightly different way. There were some kind of funky bans in the previous map, I'm not going to lie. We saw a Brava ban, which is a little bit strange to me. We also saw a Maverick ban, even though Tubro was out, so maybe there were a couple of mind games at work there based off some sort of prep or some sort of scrim sort of experience, whatever that might be. But for me, I'd like Soniqs to give themselves that opportunity a little bit earlier on to correct some of those wrongs. Both of the tactical timeouts were very effective inside of that map, but they were also used quite late.
All right, well, the expectations has been set in terms of this second map that we're going to be heading into. So let's head over to our casters. We're going to be covering Cafe, the second map of the series.
Thank you, Ginny. And the guys on the desk, indeed. Cafe in this best of 3 is coming up. Me and Tim were talking during the break and saying this would be the kind of series I would love to see go to all 3. Truthfully, I'd happily see any series go all the way, but this is one that I feel like, given how that first map has gone, it deserves all 3.
Well, they've just been so evenly matched, haven't they? We've had players on each side really stepping up. We've had great teamwork. We've had problem solving. We've had taking advantage of mistakes. You know, they've both been delivering in so many areas. That, yeah, for me, just keep putting this in my eyeballs. I want more of it.
Inject it straight in there. That's quite gross, actually. Never mind, let's not inject it in there. I was looking back at the history of Cafe for these two teams as well. Soniqs, it's one of the maps that actually they have a ban away. You never really get to see it. They've actually played it once in about the last 6 months, and that was during stage 2 against M80. They kind of brought it out of their locker in the way that BDS might in Europe, RIP by the way, and just brought it out against M80 and won it 7-4. And for Lost, they haven't played it tons either. Both times were at the Atlanta Major. They won once against FaZe and lost it against W7M a day later. So, not tons to go on, but again, I feel like this is the sort of thing that you pick if you feel that you've got some good responses or some good ideas on how to deal with what the other side showed last time around.
We're going to have the Ying ban coming in, which has been almost consistently present in 90% of the games that I've seen, at least.
Very high.
Very high ban rate for Ying.
I imagine part of that is because of the meta we're in now, like we've spoken about a few times, very defender favored. Therefore, teams either go very, very slow with things like the Monty, or they go very, very fast. What does Ying enable? Enables you to go very, very fast. It enables you to overwhelm defenses. And so having her off the board just removes that factor that previously maybe would have been used a little bit cheesily for hitting things like the Oregon base, but just overwhelming it with Candelas. Now you can see it really being used on seemingly any site in the game, so it just makes a lot of sense to see that Ying off the board and taken away. SSG have been that team that have banned it basically every single map they've played so far.
Dokkaebi and Valkyrie then are our next bans. Mira will be the last.
I like that.
chat is anything to go by, we might have a slight pause. We'll see what happens. I'm sure you've seen that conversation along the way. I think just maybe a little bit of a sound issue for Soniqs, but we'll see if it's sorted or not before we get into things. So Cafe will be the next map coming up between these two. Soniqs were able to get a late overtime win against Los on Skyscraper, but boy, was it close. All of us, I think, are hoping for another close one here on Cafe that is just as entertaining as that first map.
So we shall. Quick sound issue being addressed on the Sonic side, and then we'll get things underway on Cafe. The thing about these two teams, just got to take a step back and think about their positions in the tournament and the expectations for them. I think when you've looked at most people's predictions for how SI is going to go, it's here in Brazil. It's on home soil for the Brazilian teams. Everyone's really been saying, look, top 4 is going to be all Brazilian teams. But what's kind of sad is I feel like Lost have been sort of put out to one side. No one's really mentioned them as a top 4 team. They said, yeah, they'll probably be like 5th or 6th, but it's the other 4 Brazilian teams that we're really focused on here, because in case you didn't know, there are 5 of them here. And I think it's almost like a little... I didn't want to say disrespectful in a way, but it's almost like everyone sees the last run at the major in Atlanta where they made it to the grand final as a bit of a miracle run, like it's not really going to happen again. And after yesterday, I was a bit like, I can kind of understand it. They haven't really been super watertight. They're not looking as amazing as other teams are. But then equally, you and I earlier on saw FaZe at a very low standard compared to what we used to from them. And you have to ask that question of, okay, maybe Lost weren't the strongest yesterday, but is that just warming into the competition as so many do? Because like you said as well, teams tend to have these sort of downtimes where they're not playing as well as they normally would. You'd rather have that when it's not so important to win every single day, like in the group stage, versus in the playoffs when you have to win every single game you come into.
Yep, absolutely. You know, the group stages are all about settling in for me. Yes, you've got to get enough wins to get yourself through. Yes, you want to get, you know, as best a seed as you can to go forward and give yourself the best chance in the tournament. But ultimately, do you want to play your 5 best games or your 4 best games, sorry, in the group stage? No, you don't. You want those 4 best games to be leading up to the grand final and include the grand final. That's what a championship team wants. You know, the groups should really be about, you know, working those sort of kinks out, working those problems out, and just improving throughout that and getting settled in. So, yeah, you know, performances being up and down at this stage, it's not the end of the world.
Agreed. We spoke about Cafe earlier on, actually, and you were remarking how we see you know, a lot of teams get hyper-aggressive. When we had a chat with the talent a couple of days ago before coming into the tournament, the Brazilian Cafe is extremely aggressive. They want to be out the map, basically, any opportunity they can. The windows are getting jumped out of, there's run-outs coming in, anything you can imagine. And we've seen that being employed by teams like SSG, so I wouldn't be wholly surprised to see Soniqs at some point saying, you know what, we've got to play it the same way, we've got to get aggressive here, get up in the face of Los and really slow them down, especially given it's their map pick.
Yeah, this is it. We've seen so many jump outs of the East windows in particular. Certainly one to keep an eye on in this. We've got, I think, at least 3 Soniqs players up on the top floor at the minute. They're going to be defending Reading, so that's not too much of a surprise. They're going to want to keep hold of particularly Cocktail and Barback storage. They've actually opened up a lot of vertical themselves now. That's quite risky because obviously, you know, the attackers have brought utility to do that. They've got the sledge there, but say you get the kill onto the sledge, you can sort of, you know, almost take the option to leave some of that closed and not give that over to the attackers. But if the attackers can get in there and get top floor control, they're going to have everything they need in terms of verticality with very little work to do themselves.
They've largely ignored it, and obviously having to skirt around anything that's below storage upstairs, given I think you've got Geo sat inside of there on the castle. Whole floor opened up, walls electrified off, reinforced, castle barricades down. They have turned it into a frozen fortress in there. So you've got to avoid either 1, pushing into it, or 2, playing around underneath it. And really, that only opens up parts of Fireplace to plant inside of, or maybe the back corner of Reading. But then again, you've also got players playing above that from the side of Sonic. So everything currently is being held from above. You're really going to have to see a bit of finesse coming out from Lost here if they're going to make a plan happen without getting top floor control.
Yeah, this is it, really. Trying to avoid it. Maya manages to pick up Citizen 5 versus 3, but Rexon starts the fight back with the trade. And I think whilst they've got, you know, only 1 man difference in terms of the man count, they're going to be fairly happy. But Lost, they managed to get that 2, that margin, that little bit of space. So now it's going to be very difficult to cover all potential plant spots from the vertical. Geo going down, trying to find where this is happening, comes across, cut down by Dots. That's going to be a fairly easy round for Lost to kick things off with.
It was. The thing is, I really like the setup from Soniqs as well. I thought it was really smart, playing aggressively on the top floor, but just one by one, every 10, 15 seconds, of players being picked off in a 1v1 gun engagement, sometimes without even being aware of it, as I'm sure you might see in the replays in a second. And I'm just thinking, it's all good having a great setup, but not so much if Lost are just so easily picking you off piece by piece and dismantling it, rather than having to flood in and risk playing against those vertical angles. So, good idea, not the best execution coming out of Soniqs there.
Moving into round 2 then, we're going to have Soniqs move in sight. They're going to head up to the top floor, it's going to be. You and I personally have seen this site 5 times, Des. I keep commenting on it that we haven't yet seen a defender win on the top floor. Personally, I don't think it's the best site on Cafe by a long chalk for the defenders. We'll see whether Soniqs can maybe bring anything different to it or not. But at the minute, after that first round, you know, for me, it's not even necessarily about winning a round here for Soniqs. It's just about being more competitive in a round after that first one. It was pretty easy that they were swept aside by Lost, so they need to get themselves involved in the action a bit more here and get themselves running on Cafe.
They do, and maybe this wasn't the site to choose for it. We really are haters of Bar and Cocktail at this point, aren't we?
Look at you, you're getting on board with me.
Well, mate, I'm a lover of data. I'll believe you. I'll go with you. If the data says one thing, I'll be with you on that. Don't you worry.
I have a potential run out from Citizen here. He's on the solo. I think he's just left it a little bit too late. They're going to be up on the roof, well and safe. Lobin manages to make it. Citizen just a couple of seconds behind the beat there.
I spoke about this back in round 1. Got to see him matching the aggression that they must be expecting they'll have to endure in the second half. I think Citizen at least making a go of it is respectable, even if nothing really came of the end result. For now, though, Lost, that means they've got the freedom to get themselves set up and start worrying about what comes next. No Claymores on side, but they do have the Nomads, so they can at least brace for some of these jump outs. Obviously, we'll need a response if someone does try and go too aggressive off the back of it. But I think, again, given the times that we've seen Cafe already and the aggression shown on jump outs, they may, as the half goes on, have to bring along more tools to deal with that aggression.
Dot's going to send the drone on into sight. I don't think really gaining too much information there. You know, yeah, somebody's playing Cocktail. Somebody's always going to be playing that spot in Cocktail pretty much. So that's going to be the utility lost. Maya walks up though and manages to get the kill onto Ambi. Ambi completely unaware. Soniqs completely unaware of why it's theirs. How has Maya been able to just walk up there and get an absolute freebie through onto Ambi? Grixer and Citizen will manage to get Dots and Lobin, and that is at least a point to the credit for Soniqs.
Citizen's dying to make this work, and we saw the Nomad airdrop go down on the side of this garage in our game earlier on today for that exact run out. Now, Citizen not finding anyone as they're not up on the rappel. Not really a place to be, to be fair. You want to try and keep things as low profile as you can, but Dash has now just walked down past Pixel, gunned Geo down, and it feels half the time like, I was going to say really it's Soniqs, but also somewhat Lost, just being shot seemingly completely unaware that they're being pushed by another player.
I was going to make the exact same point, like how are both teams giving away such easy kills, you know, from areas that you would normally expect to see them coming in. You know, cameraman just rappelling into a death, just completely unaware that somebody's there. The final gunfight is likely to come. Maya spotting the man out, knows that they've rotated round to Cigar. Will they guess they've gone all the way to New Hatch or not? It is Maya versus Citizen. At this point, we know what Citizen's gun skill is like, what his ability is like. Maya is potentially going to take the opportunity to get the diffuser down here. Going to stick this and will be able to come off, get the gun up, get ready for the gunfight.
It's a battle between demons here as well. Arguably, or at least once upon a time, Citizen the star player of this team. Maya, undoubtedly the best player for his team last year. A 1v1 to settle round 2. Citizen crouched down, round the corner as well, but they're literally leaning away from each other time and time again. Round the corner they go, and it's a trade! But obviously the attackers win because the diffuser is down. I tell you what though, Tim, that is one hell of a way to end a 1v1.
It really is. You can see there, Citizen just gutted with that. He made his shots, he did what he needed to do, but it just wasn't enough as the bullets must have passed each other mid-air, and both found their targets.
Absolutely crazy. What you love to see. Imagine if that was round 15 of this. Could get through to be. Find out to keep on getting further and through it, but a good 1v1 to end out the whole round. And obviously there's a whole bunch of smack talk going on between the teams. A little bit of rivalry being established, I think, here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, back to the point that we made, there was a few kills in there that you just have to question. Maya walks up white stairs and is able to just take Ambi out. No challenge on him whatsoever. Another one, I can't remember who it was for Lost, but just walked in through Pixel and shot somebody in bar back storage. Again, no awareness of the fact that somebody had just walked through Piano, into Pixel, into White Corridor, into Washroom, and was able to get that free kill. But then Cameraman just rappelling in through the window. When somebody is still stood inside a cocktail. Both teams just seeming to have a little bit of a lack of awareness there on that top floor defense, which was once again lost.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
We will keep that one.
6 for 6.
6 for 6 on losses so far, top floor.
6 times we've seen it, 6 times it's been lost.
Fantastic. All right, well, the Monty being brought out once again. We saw this a lot back on Skyscraper in the first map. A few others tuning in, then welcome first and foremost. A nice battle took place on Skyscraper 8 and 7 with a lot of Monty being used by both sides. Definitely manipulated the most, I'd say, by Lost with a brilliant play from Maya, locking the Monty in a room with an Azawi Kiba barrier. And as a result, losing the Monty. That was Gio going down in that case here. But I think really we haven't seen too much success with it, as you said so far. Haven't really seen the Monty be pivotal towards a round win. I wouldn't put any money on it, for example, to say that I think a Monty hasn't won a round yet, but we haven't seen it have the effect that maybe historically it has.
Specifically on Skyscraper, I think, it was a fair point to make. I'm sure that there's the opportunity there for impact across the tournament. This is always a good site to be able to potentially push into through prep. Particularly, you can get in there as long as nobody playing above that's going to take you down. You can move in, you can bully your way into site, you can clear off utility, you can do all sorts of things with the Monty. Between these two teams, I think specifically, it's definitely fair to say there hasn't been too much impact yet.
He's got it as well. Snagged away a yokai drone. That's a real stinger, because on this site especially, this is arguably the site that's most synonymous with big yokai outplays. And stealing even one away is a big deal. You've now only got one to find, and assuming they managed to keep it, I imagine the call came in from Grix that it needs to be shot out, but if they keep that, that's a real stinger.
Cameraman just supporting the Monty on getting into sight. No vertical threat now, potential to put the diffuser down. That's exactly what Dots is going to do. Shield is on the back. I'm not sure whether they are aware of this or not. Yes, they are. The yokai drone is going to take the first one out. Dots is just looking. Pistol is out, trying to find it, but no, he's going to be dropped. And that was good from Soniqs, but it leaves us now effectively 2 versus 2. It's going to be Citizen and Grixer against Cameraman and Dash.
Something pretty special starting to brew here for Dash in this round. I mentioned that him and Dots sat on 18 kills each coming into this series, the same as Lobin yesterday. The 3 of them joint top fragger for the team. And in this series, they have not disappointed. It's only carried on ramping up as time has gone by. But it's 2 versus 2, Cameraman and Dash to do it all.
2 versus 1. Citizen and Grixer managed to find one apiece, but Citizen has been downed along the way. Grixer taking damage. Cameraman knows where he is now. This is going to be difficult for Grixer to win this out with the Echo drones. Potential there if he can play for time at least and force Cameraman to be moved, but no, he takes the peak. Cameraman finds the kill, and that's going to be Lost taking 3 rounds in a row. They are steamroller in Soniqs on Cafe.
Fresh, if you're listening, we've got the KKKK in the chat, so you're all good. That can go off your bingo card.
We've already had that one.
We have
had it yesterday.
It's really funny because literally at the end of the last round, Grixer was in the all chat like, "Your ass, bro," and Dash was like, "Not in my books." He just walked to 3K against him. They've just won a 1v1 against Grixer. Everything really comes back to bite you when it comes down to karma, doesn't it? Soniqs into a timeout because they have lost 3 defensive rounds in a row, and that should not be the way Cafe plays out.
I mean, you can feel Soniqs maybe feel a little bit hard done to here. They've had 2 rounds out of 3 come down to 1v1s, and one of those was a direct trade. It was just because the diffuser was down that Citizen lost out on that one. So yeah, it's been a tough 3 rounds for Soniqs really, and there's arguments there, I'm sure, to say in a different life they'd maybe have a round or 2 here on Cafe and it'd be looking a little bit differently, but as it is, that's all lifts and buts. Lost have got 3 on the board, and that's all that matters.
2 1v1s in a row, being won out by Lost. Stinker. Obviously, Lauren stepping in, having a conversation. Goddess having her words with the team, probably more to settle them down than anything else as well, because it is hard to turn around and say, well, guys, things are going drastically wrong, because they aren't, as you said. It's come down to 1v1. Incredibly close round ends. They haven't really been playing it badly. It's just that Lost have been getting the edge, getting the advantage, and that needs to be addressed.
I think, you know, if you were to look back at exactly what Loss has done, and I commented on it, you know, in that top floor round where cameraman rappelled in through the window, for example, you know, there's moments there, I'm sure, if you look, where Loss have been sort of leaving themselves open, and Soniqs just haven't been able to punish them, and I think that's, you know, possibly down to the fact that Cafe isn't one of their favourite maps, and, you know, Loss is sort of offering up these little morsels, these little opportunities, but Soniqs just haven't been able to gobble them up, and have let them get away with it a couple of times now.
It's a fun one, really. I was just looking back at the exact date when Cameraman joined this roster, because I know it was in the middle of last year. It was bang on in the middle of May. And I think we always speak about Cameraman as being this incredibly storied player who's been playing since 2016. Incredibly experienced, really lovely guy as well, bless him. And to come into this team that needed probably a little bit of kind of stability and direction and experience, he's brought that in absolute spades, and when he can still step up and win a 1 versus 1, admittedly also team kill his teammates, as we saw on the last map, it's still nice to know that he can still duke with the best out there.
Ambit is just going to drop away as the pressure starts to mount onto Piano. This is a reading room hold, so they're going to be trying to hold onto Cocktail, but they're being surrounded slowly by Loss here. There is 3 members of Soniqs up on the top floor. Loss have managed to force them back out of Piano. They're going to be able to get themselves inside there very soon. They've got one on Heaven Window as well, so Ambit is going to be playing his life here potentially. If the East there, I think the East window has got somebody on as well, the Cocktail window. Yeah, there's plenty of them out on the rappel, so if that's the case, it's going to be very difficult for him to move back to that hatch and drop away to safety.
He's sitting away playing on the Fenrir here as well, so although he's been the guy going for the spawn peaks, going for the runouts, for example, I don't expect we'll see him doing this while playing on this operator. Might be that's now moved over to being a Grixer responsibility instead, or they're just trying to play things a little more defensively. Ambi and Geo burning up something special like a fever here. Dots charges forward, capitalizes on the chaos, and Ambi is gone. Cameraman, though, he's cooked as well. 4v4.
Yeah, as I said, Ambi was in a very difficult position there. There wasn't really much movement that he could do, and Loss have got in there and created that situation, really. It was a lose-lose for him, and they've been able to take the live. 4 versus 4. Grixer is going to move over into Train, but it looks like Loss have pretty much got top floor control now.
They have, yeah, and with a minute or so still to play with, it's good to have that top floor control at this point. 60 seconds is enough time to execute onto this second floor. Where the execute comes from, I really don't know at this point, though. By the looks of it, we've got Lobin working his way down red with the diffuser. So that points to that top side, but that means working your way through mining, in through Train. Either that or pushing through pillars, which can be quite risky in itself. 40 seconds to go.
Reloading.
Yep, Lobin's going to rotate over. I'd expect more of the drop maybe onto to sort of Snow Door and get inside of Reading and get the diffuser down there. Maya's there for the cover. He's been covering the opposite direction to prevent any push coming through. Dash is there to support with Capitao utility as well, potentially. But for the time being, the diffuser has actually been passed across to Dots, who is now making his way into Reading. He's going in through the utility room, through the rotation. Rexon going to take damage. 2v2 as a couple of kills come in quickly. Diffuser is down. 10 seconds left to go. Dash does not find his man. Grixer is just the bit quicker. 2 versus 1 now. Rexon sees the last, takes him down, and that is the first round for Soniqs on the board, and it comes again off the back of one of those tactical timeouts. You got to say they've made great use of those so far in this matchup.
We're in this kind of age as well where, as you've seen across a number of teams over the last few days, or last couple of days, there's not always the requirement to bring a hard breach. Teams are sort of forgoing that and saying, look, if they want to lock themselves in, they can. We'll figure things out more creatively. The problem there being the Reading wall just stayed closed the entire time, so there was no pressure onto the Smoke, who was sat in behind the bookcase, and as you saw with the closing kill, was just in a pretty commanding yet comfortable position. Didn't have to worry about being forced out of that position, which I think really helped create an anchor spot for Soniqs there, which made things a little bit easier for them. Loss letting that round slip despite the small advantages they had, even down into a 2v2 at the close. Lobin a little bit in no man's land as well, stuck up towards red stairs while all the action was going off. Probably just not quite on the same page as the rest of his team.
Rexon having a great round there, just picking them up. That was the push, that was trying to get in and get the diffuser down. If Rexon loses his life there, then the diffuser probably does go down, and it's a very different round for Soniqs. So really well played from Rexon, stood up when his team needed him to, and we move into round 5. It's going to be back up to that dreaded top floor. It's going to be Bar and Cocktail that they try to hold on to. Rexon's brought the Maestro out, so going to have some utility there in the shape of those Evil Eye cameras. Can be very useful up on the top floor. A position of a couple of them, you can pretty much get about 80-90% visibility over this top floor.
Yes. Again, Timmy's saying that magic word, top floor. We harp on about it a lot here. I'm curious to see if anything changes. Given history, it doesn't feel like it's going to. But again, doubling down on things like the Warden and the Maestro being together does mean if you do see any kind of crazy hijinks coming in behind a whole load of smoke, then you have the availability to deal with it. There are only 2 smokes on the field in the back pocket of the Bravo. No Capitao, for example, online, as we saw employed a couple of times across Skyscraper earlier on. And Lack spoke about this a little bit during the analyst desk. We'll mention it again here. Like, Ambi's not strictly playing things like terribly, but we've got to see him come online. Like, Citizen is carrying a lot of the burden so far across these 2 maps. And when you're against big teams, again, Grand Finalists, the last major, this is where Ambi will get put to the test. And to say that, he does find himself a kill, instantly traded out, though, by Loss.
Again, something that Loss have done quite well is work as a team in that way. You know, be able to get in there, get those trades, and make sure that at least deaths count for something. Myra is going to continue droning out Cocktail now. Then they've been able to grab one of the Maestro cams. That is a big one for the Bravo drone. That was a bad jump, though. I don't think that's where they intended to end up. But look at this, going to be able to start hassling the defenders with their own cams. This is an absolute nightmare for them.
Horrific, isn't it?
Playing on the back of it as well, with Cameraman going in whilst the distraction is there. But no, they've moved Cameraman, and you're not going to get the kill. Grixer, Geo, and Rexon managed to get one apiece. 4 versus 1 for Soniqs now.
Starting to do that recovery across the last round, and this one here, much better. Admittedly, a lot riding on Cameraman on the Amaru, but straight into the Fenrir. You can see the value in taking Citizen off those more aggressive operators and saying, actually, having some defense on site will probably be real great right now, especially when things like the Fenrir are open. He puts it to good use, and it gives them the kills they sorely need. Lobin, no doubt, going to see the clock run down here until Soniqs do finally catch him out. That'll mean 3 and 2 to Loss, and Soniqs recovering this half.
Lobin just looking for those angles. He knows he needs kills. 1v4, very unlikely to happen. And Soniqs are playing this really well. They've just got themselves solidified in their positions now. Nobody's going to overpeak this. They're not chasing the kill. They're just going to wait for Lobin to put himself in a bad position, I think. Then using those Maestro cams, using any utility that they can to give themselves an advantage. Geo takes a ton of damage there. Not enough to put him down as Lobin continues to try to push in. 15 seconds, and this is surely a matter of time here as to him being able to do anything.
Tried his best, but Rexon gets the close out. And after a couple of rounds of nothing in all chat, well, now Soniqs starting to pipe back up once again. No doubt as well for those 2 rounds, building a little bit of confidence in the team. Really starting to take it back to Loss. If they get this to a 3-3 half, we say it often, but it would be a great recovery for Soniqs after Loss really did start off at some pace. Those rounds were close, as we remarked, and it feels like whatever happened during that timeout, the main thing for me being moving Citizen across to being on that Fenrir doesn't feel like a hugely significant change. Okay, 1 player's changed operator, so what? But rather than trying to look for those spawn peaks and burnouts and things like that, it is really helping when it comes round to site defense now.
Great shot from Rexon there into Cigar, and a second one. Rexon's really feeling himself on Cafe now, and this is becoming a bit of a threat for Loss. Of course, Soniqs now fighting their way back into it after another one of those. We're going to have to start calling them magical tactical timeouts that have come in from Sonic every time they've used one. Last time on Skyscraper, I think it was 3 rounds on the bounce they got after the tactical timeout. This time they've got 2, could be more. You know, going fantastically well after that. If they can level things up at 3-3 before they go on to the attack, then, you know, Soniqs have done a fantastic job.
I know at one point, I forget who was tracking the stat of how many rounds get won after. Maybe it was Fabuni at a previous event, I can't remember. But he was tracking how many rounds get won after the result of a tactical timeout coming in from a losing position. And it's always interesting to see, in terms of stats, how the impact that coaches then have as a result. I'd love to see it at some point again.
Absolutely. Round 6 then, final defensive round for Soniqs. It's going to be Kitchen. Lobin goes rocketing in through the cocktail window, straight into the top floor clearance, and I love this confidence from Loss. They want the top 2 floors. They want to work the verticals. They've got the Book, they've got the Flores, they've got a Gridlock, no doubt, with the shotgun in hand. They can absolutely shred that floor, and that is what they're going to be looking to do. Lobin, he's not content though. He wants to go further. He's going to push all the way down. Could challenge. I'm not sure if there's anybody located in VIP. There is, and it's that man Rexon. Could be a real thorn in the side here. Lobin, for the time being, just dips his way back to the mid floor and continues that clearance.
It's very defensive from Soniqs, really from the word go. Every single player has been on, or at least in very close proximity to the site itself. As you can see, Wrexham really the furthest removed, but we've seen that position played all the time. He's sat in there behind a shield. He's on the Wamai. He's aware of any threats coming from restaurant side as well. Again, that change that came in after the attack timeout was less about trying to engage loss early and more saying, actually, we're quite confident we can win when it comes round to the execute itself. And as the last 2 rounds have shown, that is very correct.
Those are the angles now being opened up by Dash. He's going to move his way on into Fireplace and continue to do so. Gio's going to have to think about relocating, which he does, just moves a little bit further over there as the ceiling starts to disappear. And yeah, as expected, he goes even further as it continues to do so. Rexton's still in position. He's going to make things very difficult here. They're going to be looking for the freezer drop and the white stairs push by the looks of things. But if they don't clear VIP, we've seen how deadly that position can be for this kind of push. 1 minute left to go. They need to think about how they're going to do so. They've got Rotero drones left. That's about all. They've got 1 nade with Cameraman as well that could potentially clear this shield and allow them to push onto Wrexham.
Had them ready to force their way in, but Tim, it's also much being invested just for one player. Can they actually get him out? Yet being pushed in from both sides at the same time. Almost gets rid of Dots. Cameraman steps in for one. Meyer the second. That's the 2-man lead that they sorely need to make this work out, but 30 seconds to go. They're still going to get through the rest. Ambi has found one and at least settled the pressure, at least for a moment, off of Soniqs.
Yeah, with Wrexham taking somebody else to step up, and Ambi does exactly that. Gio doing the job from inside of sight. 2 versus 2 now. Cameraman on red stairs, and Dots is inside Freezer. This is not great for Los. They are separated. There is no cover possible. Gio takes down Dots. That's Diffuser inside of sight. It's all up to Cameraman 1v2. Grixer is on the echo as well. Let's not forget he uses his gun, not the drones though, to take down Cameraman. And that is 3-3 now on the scoreboard.
Oh, well, what a turnaround we've had. And now we get the side swap with Soniqs going onto the attack and Loss on the defense. For me, that was just a real turnaround of the half. That, again, tact time, what we spoke about, completely transformed how it got played because they pulled everything back in towards sight, started playing far more objective focused. And as you can see, it worked absolute wonders for them. Even with Loss committing so many players in towards the VIP take and getting rid of 2, the 5v3 looked great. And then it still all fell apart from there because they didn't have enough time left because of how much time it was taking to work around the setup from Soniqs. So really good stuff. Very exciting half. Once again, we've got a real battle of equals taking place here. Even if all chat in the server would have you convinced that it's not a battle of equals.
No, it's an absolute war at the minute. I love it. We've just got a brawl going on.
Like, look at him there. Look at Citizen here. Straight to typing. Lol. He's like, yes, quick cheer, and now straight back to taunting. That's what he does best.
We switch sides then. Loss will go onto the defense. They're going to go up to the top floor. They're going to go to Bar. We did miss the fact, actually, in round 5 that Bar was finally won on defense.
I feel
We've seen it 7 times. It's been won once. I think my point still stands. Loss are going to take us up to Bar and Cocktail. We'll see if we can get a second successful time for holding on to it here. But the Soniqs have got some great momentum coming into their attacking half. They've won the last 3 rounds, and you can see they're starting to feel themselves. The confidence is up. They're in the old chat. They're giving it plenty. And that could be a warning sign for Loss.
Kurt Loeb is looking to get cheeky, really putting on his best Citizen cosplay here and looking to pick up a player or 2 early on. We saw Citizen with some mild success with it in the first few rounds, but as he mentioned, a little bit lighter on the site meant that when Lowe's came around to executing, even being a man down or 2, they could still pull things off the majority of the time, and that change to being more defensive is what was sorely needed. Maybe we'll see Lost make the same adaptation as the half goes on.
Going to be on the drones then. Soniqs wanting to get themselves inside of the map, but Cameraman saying, no, I don't think that's going to be the case. Managed to get an opening kill onto Rexton. Playing inside a reading, so that kill likely coming around. Citizen knows exactly where he is, though. Goes in, manages to get the shots from behind, levels things up. And again, great team play from Soniqs there. Slightly delayed on the trade, but just making sure that they got the job done. 4 versus 4, and Soniqs going well so far.
And Ming get to work here as well on the book underneath. They've got this full second floor control. I'm always confused between ground floor, first floor, second floor. It's always different. With that control of the second floor, though, able to start moving players around that are sat above is the crucial thing here for Soniqs. They've got a minute and a half to play with as well. That's plenty of time to just massage Lost into slightly more uncomfortable positions, have them playing off of soft ground, and there is a lot of it on that top floor. So a little bit unconventional compared to what we're used to seeing, which is normally a very heavy east side focus at the moment with some pressure coming in from Cigar. almost kind of conceding those parts of the map for now so they can focus on the vertical play.
Yeah, you don't, like you say, you don't see it too often, but it is a way that I like of dealing with Cocktail particularly, which is exactly what Ambi's doing right now. Just blast open all of those spots that defenders would normally sit. They've used it. I like the way they've combined the Grim there, put the bees in so that the defenders can't necessarily move away from those spots, and then skeleton key them from underneath and see if you can get them caught out. Again, really nice team play, and what a kill from Ambi. Manages to start working his way up white stairs, finds Lobin, and Dash knows that his days could be numbered.
That's massive because it secures Cocktail for them to make a plant go down here, and Gio is almost in spot to plant, but Myers just found him. Citizen might be onto a second in the round, but yet again, Tim, we're down to a 2v2.
That's it. These teams, they're just battling back and forth, never able to get the advantage. Citizen knows that the flank was on, takes down Maya, 2 versus 1, and Dash, he finds himself in washroom, but Soniqs, they're the ones looking to clean up, Des.
Citizen on for a 4K as well. Oh, he's going to be so insufferable in the chat. Just one of those where, as I mentioned earlier on, sure, Ambi might be quiet, but you still got Citizen, a demon in his own right, and he is doing work at the moment.
Yeah, Lost just looking a little bit quiet, a little bit subdued there. Not much going in the team comms, and you just feel like Soniqs are really getting under their skin at the minute. And this could be dangerous for them. They need to start stepping up. They need to get that energy up a little bit. They can't be playing like they're beaten because Soniqs are playing with confidence. And that was great from Citizen. I don't know where. I'm sure there was some information. Must have been picked up on a drone or something. But he just knew that that flank was coming and just sat waiting for it. And it was, you know, one of the easiest kills he's going to have today, and Soniqs really on it at the minute, 4 rounds in a row.
I think that was Ambi going, Lobin, Lobin. I love how he's only really, this is his second game at a Tier 1 tournament, and already he's giving it large. He's getting himself baked in, locked in. I love it.
Here we go then, it's round 8. Soniqs have got themselves the lead for the first time, it's worth mentioning. Lost got the first 3 rounds in a row. This is their map pick, and it looked like it might run away from the Soniqs, but I mentioned mental resolve from the Soniqs on Skyscraper. They showed us that they have got plenty of it, and they've shown it again here. 3-0 down. It hasn't impacted them. They've managed to fight their way back into it, and now the confidence is high, having taken 4 in a row. They will be attacking again. This time it's going to be onto that mid floor, and they will see whether they can get that top floor control and start working down into mining and fireplace.
Absolutely. So start up, top down, as you mentioned, unless you're Soniqs, in which case you invert it and you work bottom up. We'll find out as the round gets underway here. Looking towards the defensive setup, though, there is a lot of power operators in this lineup for Lost, right? The Azami, you've got the Solis on side, you've got the Fenrir on side, the Castle to help lock down some of those more awkward angles, but also the Yokais here on Maya for that information game. So, unsurprisingly, you are going to see the Azami positioned here inside of Piano. It's able to very dynamically create defenses, reduce the exposure to the windows. Sledge, for example, can't do much about getting rid of those, but things like the Hibana and the Ash most certainly can. So it's going to be a bit of a dance of death here for Dash.
Ambit is just opening up the top of Red Wall there to give access on into Piano. And the drones will continue raining on through.
I like how really from the moment go, Dash has taken quite a defensive position. He's playing in behind the sofa, so rather than playing in the middle of Piano, it's always been quite a reserved position, so when he does need to fall back, he's able to do so. He has done so through storage. He's blocked the hole up here, making use of the Kiva barrier as well. And a couple of kills being traded back and forth here. Usual early round skirmish between these two teams. Now, trying to work their way through some of these keepers, I imagine, as well as looking in towards things like the castle barricade. Still the one sat on Cigar Door, being blown out there by the ex-Kairos. Down to 60 seconds left, though, Tim. That's been a bit of a duel going in around Piano, but now it's been cleared out. They should be able to start moving forward. Rexon, though, still up on the latch. On the hatch. Finds Lobin.
He's going to get himself a good one there. 4 versus 3 for the Soniqs as it continues rolling, all in their favour at the minute. The Yokai is just going around being used as that sort of intel utility. This isn't about plants, this is about finding what is coming from where, just trying to get any information that they can at the minute. Dot's just holding that Long angle sprays through the wall, not going to find his man though, as the pressure continues to mount with 30 seconds left.
And the Yokai quite crucially taken out there as well. Really could have been a disruptor. We always say that the, air quotes, power spike of the Echo grows as the round progresses because you have that ability to interrupt the plant, which really forces the attackers to panic. They've got to get rid of it. They've got to deal with any aggressors pushing in. There's still one available. It is tucked in behind the mining wheel here, so it still can play a little bit of disruptor, but now they've got to force their way forward. They've got rid of the second Yokai. This could be massive for them unless we can get a little bit of a backstep, but the window's being watched. Soniqs make it 5 in a row. What a turnaround.
Absolutely fantastic stuff, as they just will not be beaten. I think they're just winning rounds so they can get in the old chat, to be honest with you.
Saying, "Loss, are you in the building?" It doesn't really feel like it at the minute. Soniqs are having the run of things, just strolling over them. And quite understandably, after 5 rounds in a row being lost, call in the TAC timeout. And Norris got to share a few words of wisdom. We would shut up and listen, but I'm afraid we don't really understand Portuguese.
We'd love to hear him. We'd love to. But as you say, our translation is going to be minimal at best. I could maybe transfer, you know, I could hear if they'd said the word thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's not really the kind of word you want to squash into 45 seconds.
Probably not.
Unless you're saying thank you for your efforts now, let's sort out
problem,
what's going wrong.
I could tell you if they said no problem.
Nada.
I don't think they're going to be saying no problem. I think they're going to be saying some problems, to be honest with you.
Many problems, to be fair, because again, 5 rounds on the bounce. That's not just by chance. Soniqs really are taking it to them at the moment. And Loss really need to course correct, otherwise this series runs away from them. Soniqs already have that first map win, not forgetting this is Loss's map pick. They should really be the ones coming out and commanding some kind of control, but simply haven't seen it since that third round ended. And even then, now they were close because it was 2 1v1s in round 2 and round 3. It could easily be 6 and 1 that we're looking at right now if you consider those rounds could have gone either way.
Honestly, I don't know that they've got a way back into this at the minute, Lost. They just seem completely beaten down at the minute, and it's no surprise. You know, the Soniqs have just been absolutely wild. They've been rampant over the last couple of rounds, particularly. The thing is, I feel like the Soniqs had the tactical timeout, and they won a couple of rounds, but they had to sort of fight for them. But then it's just got easier and easier and easier as these 5 rounds have gone on, and they're now just winning them like with
minimal effort.
With minimal effort, with you know, with ability to spare, and you just feel like it's really sort of becoming a snowball of a problem for Loss here.
Defense better. What's that? Soniqs have asked across those last couple of rounds, even with 3 big power operators on side. Couldn't quite stop the onslaught of the North American side. Let's see how things go though. They're starting things out on the southwest side of the building here, probably rappelling all the way up to the roof, I'd expect. No doubt to start a focus on this east side once again as Tim. We've gone back there again. We're up into bar
and cocktail. We've seen it 8 times. It's been won once. Certainly not a fantastic defender win rate for this site. And Loss, I've not put in, you know, all their eggs in this basket, but certainly a good portion of them, given that if Soniqs win this attacking round, they are going to be on to series point and could be looking at a 2-0 win over Loss here. We've got cameraman all the way down in the bottom floor on the Solis. That's something that Soniqs need to be aware of. I want to see them find him. I want to see them challenge him and get him dealt with. It is possible to ignore and leave him out on the cold, but he's stood on that double door at the minute, there and thereabouts, and you just feel like he's looking for that run out onto Ambi on this rappel. Rather than from the white door, you can do it from the bakery double door.
It's an interesting tweak of positions where they've now got 2 players, at least playing around Piano. It's Lobin on the Mozzie as well as the Warden stacking up in there. And instead what they've done is put the Azami on the other side of the castle barricade inside of Cigar. So that now becomes a much more dynamic area to play in, but Ambi's got cameraman's number. That's Solis. Just not going to have the desired impact they were looking for. The NA team were ready.
That was exactly the awareness that I wanted from Soniqs. Cameraman was poised, he was there, he was ready to go. It was going to happen. All they needed to do was spot him, and they would realise that. Dots, however, gets a little bit of an easy kill onto Ambi there, and then Lobin onto Geo, and you feel like Soniqs have just lost their concentration a little bit here, especially when they lose another on the ring around the roses. Lobin picking up Brickster. He will not be stopped right now. They want this round. They need to stop the onslaught that has been coming from Sonic. Nitro goes out, unsuccessful, but still 4 versus 2.
Oh my God.
4 versus 1. It's all Lobin.
And Citizen's like, yeah, get me out, fam. Up on the roof he goes, wants no part of this. 3 kills in the round for Lobin. I love after that first kill that he got really opened everything up, and I love the kind of awareness on his side that it opened him up to go and push quite aggressively in towards top red to secure the second kill, and that then opened up a whole host of problems for Soniqs. So really off the back of one player, that has done everything they need, and of course the counter is in there.
Unofficial timeout. We see two things happen at the end of rounds like this sometimes. Sometimes you see players sort of stand still, hands off keyboard, and like this, it's just an opportunity to have a discussion. They take in the fact that they've lost the round. They just, you know, it's that unofficial tactical timeout. Sometimes, if they were in a different position, Citizen is absolutely not doing this because he's up on the roof. Sometimes you will see that. Don't mistake it necessarily for an unofficial timeout, if you will. Don't necessarily mistake it for that. If there's a minute left on the clock and a player is just standing holding an angle, sometimes they know that the defenders love to get out there and try and find those kills, and sometimes you're just trying to bait that out and get a couple of kills, but in this occasion it was definitely Soniqs taking the opportunity.
I've seen a round of pro play lost through that kind of stuff, where someone's trying to get a bit cheeky and a bit aggressive. Maybe it's a 3v1 for the defense and they're trying to go after the
We have seen it once or twice where you get that situation, you've got one attacker versus say 3 defenders, and they start pushing angles that they shouldn't, and all of a sudden a 1v4 becomes a 1v2 and it's now winnable.
I've never seen it where the attacker's basically given up on the round though, and then the defense still try and get them outside.
No, we've never seen
be in their throw. I don't think that's ever happened. But it would be hilarious and it would go down in history.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's why we'd know about it if it had happened. Down to Cafe we go for round 10. Things sit at 5 and 4. We've just passed that critical turning point we often talk about, where things were sat at 5 and 3. Lost sorely needed that round, and the round has been given. Again, tactical timeout prowess coming in here. So far, we've seen that thing where when a team takes a tactical timeout, they've continued to win rounds until it's been flipped. We'll see if Soniqs can break that curse.
5 seconds to go.
Okay then, all the way down to Kitchen. Also note, that was our second successful defensive hold of Bar and Cocktail. The stats are going through the roof for it.
I kind of give massive air quotes around the word hold there, because what it was Lobin just popping off.
2 in 9, the stats are going through the roof for it. All the way down to top to the bottom now, we're going to Kitchen for Los, and this is the one that's going to level things up for them if any can. We'll see whether they manage to do it or not. They're holding all the way from the top, so Sonic straight up to the rooftop. They're going to get the drones out, they're going to locate these roamers up on the top floor. The battle with the roamers here is going to be key to this round, and it could well determine who wins it. If Los are able to get a couple of kills or burn a lot of time up here and get back to site safely, it could be round defining. Equally, if Soniqs get in there and get a couple of kills and then a 5 versus 3, say, pushing on towards site, again, could be round defining.
It just feels like anything can happen. I spoke about in the last map the single C4 kill from C4 with the kind of domino that starts the whole longer term run down to the round being won by the other side. Small things in the early round can add up to a big ending, and here, you know, Dash not being picked off by Ambi, it could be that moment. This is a roamer you've still got to deal with on the alibi. Then it's the first time I've seen an alibi picked up in the tournament so far.
Yeah,
to be fair
for us, I think.
I can't imagine there are too many operators left that we haven't seen picked yet.
No, we've seen it. I know Chichanka's been played.
Bad Blackbeard. I haven't seen Cab yet.
No, I haven't, but I think we might have in general. Yeah, Ambi, you know, fantastic gunner, we know that, but you've got to be hitting those shots at this point of a game. 5 versus 4, that's your opportunity. As I was saying, it was a real, you know, big chance for Soniqs up on the top floor to get an advantage. Ambi does ultimately take down Lobin, so that's good. 5 versus 4, but there's still, and guess who it is? Dash, the one that Ambi missed, manages to pick up Rexon, levels things up 4v4, and continues to be a thorn in their side.
Still snaking his way around here as well, working his way in towards Cigar, just largely ignoring Ambi, pushing him behind him around white. Don't know if Ambi will go hunting here or just kind of more sit and hold the angle and hope that he pushes back into him. But even Gio seems a bit uncertain as to what's going on up there. Look, Ambi's still looking back to where Dash was a long time ago, and he's managed to make it happen. Remember the domino effect, Tim? It's coming into full effect here. He'll be ruining not getting rid of Dash early on. Finally collects him and pays up for the previous mistakes. But the problem is, Tim, that's on the top floor, and there's only 30 seconds left to play.
30 seconds left to play, and it's a 3v3 rather than the potential of that 5v3 that I said. And it's horrible. You know, it feels terrible to put so much on a few missed shots. Grix is going to go into the frost mat, and Soniqs just losing a little bit of that that attention that they need to be paying here, that focus that it's going to take. What a shot from Grixter, though, as he absolutely slams that behind the bakery counter. Citizen is able to get the diffuser down, potentially.
Others have got to move here. I tell you, this will be one for the bingo card as well. Grixter helps them win this.
What have we just seen?
At the back of the frost mat. A few patches ago, impossible to do. Now, he's pulled out of 3K. After being down, put on seemingly no HP, has provided the cover for the plant to go down. Enormous round by Grixter, and that could be what ties it up.
That is your round of the game there. Not just the fact that he's got out of the frost mat, you know, yeah, that's a possibility. You can do that now. But it was the shot onto the guy behind bakery counter to start with, and then the second kill. Both unreal from Grixter. I'm sure we're going to see them on the highlights. Absolutely fantastic stuff. And he's really dug Ambi out of a problem there, really, because, you know, we had those missed shots. We had the double up on the top floor, and we might have been asking different questions. Here we go. That's the first. Absolutely beautiful. And then watch this one as he just comes around, swings and hits his man, and then gets the third. Absolutely wonderful stuff from Grixter. And that's the sort of moment that could win a matchup like this for Soniqs.
The beautiful thing
10
is,
seconds to go.
it just shows the round. Not that Grixter's ever been a bad player, of course not. He's always been great. But the rounded nature of this team is honestly terrifying. Like, Rexon's had a good game. Grixter's having a good game.
Such a high ceiling for this team.
Citizens have an incredible series. And yes, Ambi's been quiet, but he played brilliantly yesterday. And Gio's kind of there, almost like guiding them towards the finish line as well. It does start to feel like this is one of those most well-rounded forms of Soniqs that we have seen since this roster's formation. It's incredible to see.
I'm sure that other teams will be looking at Soniqs here and thinking, you know what, it won't be the end of the world if we don't have to play them. Because if they can continue like this, and as I said, grow into the tournament even more, they're looking at potentially two back-to-back 2-0 wins here. You know, what a start for them. And that was just a fantastic finish to the round there. Yeah, it was a big individual player that did it, but let's not forget, Citizen was still alive. Diffuser was going down. They were playing it smart. It was great stuff from them, and I really enjoyed that round. Soniqs were a pleasure to watch there at the end.
To make sure Fresh knew that his bingo card had been achieved. Gone through a lot of his bingo tick-offs inside 2 days. The only thing we're missing, at least for me and you, is a third max OT.
Certainly true. I'm sure that will come.
Plenty of time to come.
Don't you worry about it. I am certain that will come. Citizen then just going to be taking the opportunity to open up that angle. It's attack onto Reading. Oh, Citizen knows the man is there. He's on 13, makes it 14. You can't challenge him up to the hatch like that. Citizen will take you down every day of the week.
They really are unstoppable, Soniqs. Since that round 3 timeout, admittedly, the lost timeout power-up only lasted a single round. Soniqs now feels like a train that can't be stopped. 2 rounds needed by Lost, one of them to be won as a 4 versus 5 as well. Oh, good luck.
Oh boy, you just feel like you're on the edge of it here. You know that it's sort of you get that feeling where a team's time is limited, and it feels like that is the case for Lost. They're going to need a real big moment. Maya thinks about going out of that window, but doesn't do it just yet. We've seen plenty of east side jump outs. We've seen plenty of success from east side of jump outs, but they're aware, they're ready. Citizens watching it. They're sending flashbangs in. They're just saying, look, you need to back off because we know you're there. Citizens watching for the peak. They've got it well covered. 5 versus 3 as Rexon manages to find Lobin, and it is all going in the direction of Soniqs at the minute, Des.
And they start to get the sledge buildings down, so Train's no longer take the play inside us. They choose to go a bit more aggressive here, pushing out in towards Hallen, looking out towards Snow Door. Cameraman is there, I believe, ready and waiting to pick some up if they push forward, but Soniqs simply aren't biting right now. The longer angle's there, Gio's inside the building, but hasn't got to peek anything. Let his team do clean-up duty. Ambi on to Maya, only 2 left standing, Tim.
Soniqs are just waiting now for the utility to run out so they can get on into sight. Gio does exactly that. Diffuser going down. Won't have time though. As Grixter and Rexon find the final 2. And look at the celebration from the Soniqs players. They know what they've just done. What a turnaround on Cafe. What a performance. They were a pleasure to watch. And the Soniqs, they win 2-0 against Los.
They have absolutely rocked Los's world there. I know the first 3 rounds were rough, and I was thinking, man, this is sending us towards a map 3, but that timeout turned everything around for them. stellar series from Citizen. Ambi was the hero of the day yesterday. Today, you've got to give a big shout out for Citizen. He's been an absolute demon in that series, playing different roles across attack and defense as well. And again, on attack, we saw him playing it quite aggressive on the own to begin with, then playing more on site on the Fenrir. Just really good adaptation and flexibility being shown by him to get his team through another 2-0. And this was the game that everyone was excited to see in this group. These are the top two teams to fight between. I think with that, Soniqs have just secured that top spot and the top seed coming out of this group.
Yeah, it was a game I was excited to see because obviously with Sinlos against Falcons with a few stand-ins, it was a real opportunity to see what they were about, what they were made of against a team that was at full strength. I think they performed well overall, but they definitely fell short of the level that the Soniqs were bringing. It was close, but the Soniqs just had that extra 10% to get that job done, especially at the end of Cafe. They looked pretty hot.
It was a really good series. We wanted to see it go to 3. After the first map, we said we'd love to see it go all the way to 3.
Can we play map 3 anyway?
Just do it for the fun. I just want to see
more.
To be honest with you, we don't got to play Siege. I'll happily just watch them type to each other for the next 15 rounds, because there was a lot of all chat banter going back and forth. But that's what it's all about. It's all about the personality, and both teams have shown it there. Fair play to Lost, gave it a good swing, but now I'm sure there'll be questions kind of coming over their heads around, you know, are you going to be that team? Can we see another big run and a deep run here at Invite?
Absolutely. They'll go through, I think, in the group. But yes, definitely questions. And questions that I'm sure our desk will have to ask as well. So we'll send you on over. That's us today. And bye. Goodbye.
Thank you to one of my favorite casting duos, Des and Ace. We do appreciate it. Congratulations, Ambi.
Thank you.
On
Thank
the
you.
win. How does it feel? Because we highlighted the importance of this match, particularly due to the fact that you guys are the two top dogs in your group. So getting that win out of the way must be incredible.
I mean, it feels great. You know, Los was the team in our group that we kind of looked at that this is the team we need to beat, and we beat them. So I mean, it feels great.
Well, big question for me, and I think for everyone. What's it like being here at SI and this being your first LAN, your first pro player experience? Like, talk me through that.
I mean, it's more kind of like surreal. Like, it doesn't even like feel like I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't even like believe it. Like, if you told myself when I was 13 years old that I'd be playing at Sao Paulo, Brazil, I'd probably believe you, honestly, because I love this game. But I mean, it's just crazy, you know. I love it here. Playing on LAN, it's a whole new game, and I love it.
Nah.
How has it been as well being on LAN with your team? How's the bonding experience been? We have a lot of players talk about the fact that they were in boot camp, they had an opportunity to go out and like explore the area. Has it been similar for you?
We didn't have a boot camp, so we came here, like 4 days before our first game. And I mean, the team bonding is great, you know. I think if we had a boot camp, we'd be even like crazier, you know. I mean, we're all good teammates, we all love each other, and, you know, fist bumping after every round. My first time doing that, it feels great.
Let me ask you this: who's your favorite teammate? Because by the
Whoa,
looks of it, hold
you're
on,
not allowed to play
wait.
favorites.
Well, you can with the player to player. I mean, there just looks like there's one little teammate over there that you seem to have, you know, a strong connection
well,
with.
me and Ben do the bow. So for the handshake wise, I'll say Citizen Ben, because me and him do the little bow thing, and that's all.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for the interview. It has been incredible. And you've had such an incredible debut. I hope you're very proud of yourself, because you should be.
I did average, but it's all right.
Oh, you did average.
That's
You think
what
you're
you
going to
call
do better?
average?
I win like double negative each game.
Oh, he's got an ego on him already. Okay. Hey, I love it.
I'm excited to see you play more then. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
I'm undefeated against Brazil. So,
Yeah.
hey.
Oh, that's something to hold up to on home soil as well for them.
Yeah.
Let's have a look in terms of how this game exactly played out. Because when we were looking at Soniqs, this was Los's pick, and we were thinking, okay, that's gonna be a crazy one. 7-4 for them to actually close it out. And we have a new guest join us just to give us a little bit more insight or an important message.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Nice to see you guys. From my behalf, I just wanted to say Happy Valentine's Day to my girlfriend, and Gio sends Happy Valentine's Day to his wife, and of course all the fans, guys. Thank you guys so much for the support. Wouldn't be possible without any of you guys. You know, it's amazing to see build more fans. Brazilians, please do not hate me. I love all of you guys. All right, it's just shit talking the game. I love all of you guys. Please do not bash my DMs. It's all love. But yes, thank you guys. You know, I love my teammates. It's been a lot of fun playing with Ambi. He's literally a battery that never dies. That's just how he is. And you know, I feel like it brings up, you know, it lifts everyone up. It's just fun, you know. He makes the game a lot more fun to play, and just blessed.
I do have a question.
Okay.
So with you being the vet that you are, bringing someone brand new, because I've gone through this experience as well, like bringing someone like Ambi, like what does that do for you personally?
Oh, I mean, I feel like for me, it almost like makes the game feel new, like to play. You know, I feel like it makes it makes it exciting to find new things out again, to do everything. Because I mean, it's also kind of just doing it for him. You know, like he's so young, he's surrounded by such vets, and you want to give him the best experience. You want to make sure he's surrounded by the best team. So I mean, I think we do a great job of that. You know, he's more than willing to take any criticism, and he loves it. We love it. It's a lot of fun.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun having you both as well on Freddie.
Yeah,
I appreciate
thank you.
it. Thank you for the kind messages, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck with the remaining games. But in terms of the atmosphere that we've been seeing from the Soniqs, like the winning moments, just take the energy, a battery that never dies. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be excited. These were the two teams that were going to be probably the biggest difficult or challenge for one another, and to come out with a 2-0, secure those points on top of it, and putting yourself in a really good spot. I mean, yeah, you saw it in Grixer's face right there. You saw the veins popping out of his neck, out of his forehead. He was hyped for that, as he should be.
Hello, I'm back.
Ali.
Hey, there he is.
Welcome
Can we
back.
get down to some analysis now? We've got some NA bias on the desk here, I think. Like dragging all of his buddies
They
in.
finally won something,
They did,
okay?
they
You
did.
gotta give it to them.
You got to give it to Soniqs. I think Soniqs played fantastically well in that series. We were throwing a few question marks around, obviously with the way that Skyscraper went down, 8-7, very difficult game, could have gone either way. And I was a little bit worried, I'll be honest, at the start of Cafe, because it was a fairly slow start. The one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that the rounds that Lost won at the start were off the back of huge clutches. They have got so much clutch potential, but ultimately today, it was Soniqs that had the legs.
Well, it just goes into show that mental warfare. Soniqs absolutely hated Cafe. You look at their stat line and everything in the maps they pick, they hate Cafe, so that the fact they're willing to show it this early on shows the confidence that they put into the map, given the 3 months off, maybe transitioning Ambi that maybe allowed more play than maybe the play that they had originally of Gunner. So it just goes to show that they came prepared, ready to play Cafe, and they displayed it beautifully.
Yeah, and they displayed it also in the intel play of the game, which is with Grixer, if I remember that correctly. Yep,
round.
Absolutely. It was a beautiful round, and if anything, potentially one of the game-defining moments.
This was one of the rounds that you would have looked at it and said, it's not beyond the realms of possibility for Lost to clutch here. I think they didn't play active enough. Maybe it was a lack of confidence, maybe a lack of information, but in that situation, if you're 2 versus 2 and someone's getting the plant down, Grixer is literally one shot to anyone. But he plays his life because that's all he can do. And I think the Lost just got caught sleeping there. And there was a couple of times really when that happened.
The hardest part in those situations too is like, because obviously the bomb's going down. That's already now a 2v1 situation.
Exactly,
You should go for the guy that's going to be trying to stop you. But you see in both those instances, I don't think there was a lot of coordination between Lowe's there and the swinging potential, because had they swung together, then Grixer gets the trade. The guy either has to get off the bomb or stick it. So it's tough in those situations that you lose those rounds, because again, it's those small, minute details that are game defining. But still, shout out to Grixer. Huge heads up play with the coverage.
Yeah, and with that as well, it concludes our first BO3 of the second half of this day. We have one more game coming your way, so don't worry about that. It's going to be Falcons that are going to be going up against Fury. Another one from this group, so make sure you don't go anywhere, because we'll be back shortly.